Hello, friends, and welcome once again to a single-serving tabletop adventure from Queen's Court Games. I am Aaron, and tonight, once again, I shall be your director of operations as we step back into the 1960s world of comic book Cold War adventures in the Troubleshooters. We are continuing our story of the U-boat mystery, written and designed by Christer Sunderland. I think it's been going pretty well so far, minus the part where you
think that.
I almost let out some spoilers, and that is an important thing to mention because this is the second of multiple episodes. If you have not watched the first one, pause this immediately. Well, no, pause this when I'm done explaining what you should do. Pause this and then go watch the first one on YouTube, then come back and watch the rest of this one. Okay, now pause. We'll wait. How long do y'all think it's going to take him to do that?
Probably just... Did we tell them to unpause this bit? Because then that would be now, so it'd probably be fine. Did we?
Oh my god.
Your instructions were not clear.
No.
Instructions unclear.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. They just came back. We'll just pretend it was... Thanks.
Hey,
Excellent job following instructions that were very clearly given. Yes. Well, you have just had the cast introduced to you because you just watched that episode, but we'll do it again because this is an incredible cast and they deserve to be recognized. First of all, as our inquisitive journalist with excellent taste in friends, as Emma Beck, it's Locke.
Hi.
As the globe-trotting jewel thief with excellent taste in best friends, as Katarina Huppert, it's Shamini. Coming along as mechanic Frederick, I am constitutionally incapable of not saying Dejardin now. As mechanic Frederick Dejardin, it is Lola. And lastly, but not leastly, driving them around at speeds far exceeding the safety limits of most vehicles as a racing enthusiast, it is Sonya Volkov, it is Aubrey.
Hello.
You can find links to their assorted social media channels by sending !cast to chat or !scenario. If you don't care who they are but are really into this game, that will bring up a link to the Drive-Thru RPG page where you can find this scenario and the game for yourself. Also, please be aware this scenario is built for a lighthearted adventure. However, it does involve punching Nazis and some of the things that folks may find uncomfortable or unenjoyable. So go ahead, pop !safety or !content, because here's the thing, I switched up every time, so V has put both of them as valid commands. Use which one you prefer, and it'll bring up some content warnings. We've all talked about what comes up in the scenario, but we want to make sure that everyone watching has a good time. Now, I shouldn't put off things any longer because, as I recall, I left you all tied up in a burning building, and it's getting pretty hot in there. So if we're all ready to effect a tremendous escape and hunt down the secrets of a U-boat gone missing, let's get to it. What do you say, folks?
All right, then.
Sounds great.
Sure, it'll be fine.
All right. Well, then let us continue our story. We return to a warehouse on the southwest or east, I don't remember, side of Paris. It is a brick building altered by story points to include a wide skylight on top of it, which is now billowing smoke because as the forces of Octopus escaped with captive journalist Pierre Martin in tow, they left the four of our stunning adventurers, our fulsome foursome, tied up in the center. Chicken feathers on the floor, flames racing towards you. Important question, oh my god, what do we do? And by we, I mean you. What do the four of you do?
Really wish there weren't chicken feathers everywhere, because those are probably really flammable.
Really feel like we didn't do that
Well,
to ourselves.
I'm so sorry I introduced chicken feathers to this scenario. I'm so sorry.
That was a quick question. How much would they have searched Frederick, given that Frederick surrendered,
Yeah.
took themselves out of court?
None.
Not at all. I think their priority was get Pierre out of here, whatever evidence they have. They weren't really concerned with... They would have disarmed Katarina and Emma, like knocked the feather out of Emma's hand and the knives out of Katarina's, but they wouldn't have spent any time at all doing the pat down or anything like that.
Cool.
You're much more thoroughly searched going into a posh London bar.
In which case, I would probably have something in my pocket that could assist us in escaping our bombs, though it depends. How are we tied up? Rope?
Yeah, thick, like shipping rope. You imagine it's like on a dock or whatever. And they have tied you back to back. If I recall, it's Katarina and Emma are tied back to back, and then Sonya and Frederick are tied back to back. So your hands are behind you, and then you are roped also to one another. So you're bound at the wrists, and then your forearms are tied to the forearms of the person behind you.
Very thorough.
Sonya, how flexible are you?
Try my best.
Okay, well, I've got some cutters in my pocket, like in the and Frederick is kind of trying to shift his arms so that kind of like, because if our forearms are tied together, wait, not our forearms, our
Upper arms.
upper arms.
So your wrists are tied to each other, and we can all play along at home. So you put your arms behind your back with your wrists crossed, and then imagine that your wrists are bound to your wrists, and then your forearms are tied to the forearms of the person behind you.
Okay. Oh, that's a lot less hard. Okay. So
Yeah,
it's kind of just
You lean forward, I lean back.
no, but it's my pocket. Wait. Yes.
Yes, you lean forward and I'll be leaning back. So I have, as we figure out the how this exactly works.
This is a level of fiction first that I did not expect, but I am totally here for. And as we're all trying to figure out, like, how do my arms? But I love this.
While this is happening, can I be just ignoring this whole scene? And Katarina, there was a lot of screaming during the fighting, and then a lot of yelling during the tying up, and then there's mostly been a silence since the actual setting fire to things. And I'm just gonna like twist my head round and be like, Emma, darling.
Yes, Kat.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so just so you know, this is like basically like Tuesday night for me. You know, this is standard. Like, this is like easy peasy, no worries. So, you know, I hope you're not worrying, are you?
Is Tuesday with Pierre or the other one?
No, not that kind of Tuesday. Not that kind of Tuesday night. I just mean like, this is like, I do this kind of stuff all the time. Not this kind of. No, I meant the peril. Actually, not the. Sorry, I see.
Not the. Okay, confusing. Nope. Okay, yeah, no, right there. Nope, I'm right there with you. I got you. Yep.
You know, danger. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Just because I thought you might be like freaking out, but you seem fine. So.
I mean, honestly, like a little bit. I guess I'm just worried that if we do burn up in this fire, they're going to find my body specifically covered in chicken feathers, and it's going to be very confusing for my obituary.
Yeah, no, but we just won't die. It'll be fine.
I love that you are so sure of that fact. This is why we're friends. One of us has to be, and it's not me. So, how do we get out of this?
I think at this point, cut back to the
In
others.
the background, just like,
Yeah.
leave it a little to the left, left.
I want to see if they've already
left.
succeeded by this
Yeah,
by
no.
the time we
Can you
get to
reach
this
it?
point in the conversation.
Do you have it? Or it's just if you just pull it out and then pass it to me. I think I can do you first, and then.
What is it in your pocket that you're looking to retrieve? Is it just a knife? That's what I was assuming, or?
So it's not a knife. It's a what are they called? It's a little bit like one of those army knives that has lots of different tools, but this one's like it's a little bit chunky, but you can pull off some like a knife from it, but also some like a cutter,
Corkscrew.
not just scissors, like a little bit more heavy duty. So
This is like a Swiss Army knife for like a dad.
yes,
I think at some point you just call them multi-tools and just move
yes,
on.
that.
Tin opener.
It's a
Got tin
multi-tool.
opener on there. You never know,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
might
it's a
need to open a
multi-tool.
tin.
I mean, I have my mechanics toolbox, which I think probably got lost somewhere outside, so I'll have to pick that up later. But
I don't think they drug that in to put it next to you. Yeah. Although it would be very comical if they tied you all up and then they brought the mechanic toolbox in there and have also tied it shut so it's its own little hostage.
How many story points to make that happen?
I think for then, so the skill here would be, I would take athletics, I would take prestidigitation. If you can think of something else that makes sense, I'm amenable to that too. But there will be some kind of roll to see if Sonya can find the correct pocket and wrench limbs around such that they can break out.
Yeah. Search.
Sonya or myself?
I will take either way. You are tied together as a unit at this point. There's an amount of cooperation. We could say that you both roll something, and then we'll let that play out. Search is on the list. I guess that would get... Well, we can do that. Okay, so if Sonya wants to roll search to find it, and then Frederick to actually whatever it would take to break the binds open, that is an interesting combination of rolls, right?
Frederick is very good at making stuff, not so good at doing stuff.
Wow.
That requires
That's a bit sad.
body to do stuff.
We could play through the if Sonya doesn't have it and you don't have it and we want to go that way. I do also like the idea that Katarina and Emma are having this conversation at some point. Sonya just like thrusts the multi-tool in between them, right? But I will leave that up to the four of you.
It always just sort of works out, you know?
Yeah, because all of the good skills look like, well, I have search at 65, but everything
I mean,
else...
yours is better than my 45. Like, I got, I mean, I'm just like, what could I use to cut the rope with? I have melee.
That's relevant.
Melee rope. Yeah, if it's...
Or strength.
It could be a case of, like, planning on my side, remembering which pocket it is to be able to direct Sonya to it.
Planning. Project management.
Strength would just be to like bust open the ropes, or in the sense of story points, you can alter it by saying that like the knots aren't good, or they're not big thick shipping ropes. They're just normal like tie a package together twine, right? You have all these options available to kind of make the most of what your situation is, but
not just story points given our situation. So
tons of story points. We're like so rich. We can do whatever we like.
Yeah.
Loaded.
I actually really like the idea of using my story points to make it so the ropes for Kat and Emma are actually like really, really loose. And as Kat and I are going back and forth, just kind of like talking and bantering about stuff, eventually they will just, because we're kind of like moving a lot, and they just kind of like wriggle off. And they just like fall really like limp and loose, and then we're just like, oh, God.
Okay, so well, for chronology's sake, we know that Sonya and Frederick are working really hard on getting out of them legitimately, the ones that are tied correct.
Yeah.
So we're setting up a situation where Sonya like grunt away, sawing at this thing, like finally, and then turns to release Katarina and Emma, who are just like, oh shit, huh? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Well,
holding the multi-tool, just like.
It would be a more significant spend if you wanted to just evade the danger. I think that falls closer on the 6th end of the spectrum than the 2. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree with that, and I'm fine with that for sure.
Cool beans. So let me still to resolve what's happening with Sonya and with Frederick. So Frederick, do you want to? Did you were thinking about search to have the tool found and then?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll search. And
Mhm.
hope. 0, 0, 0.
That is the worst possible result. Zeros across the board is a 100.
Yeah.
It is. That's okay though. It's a very fail-forward game. So
Yes.
I think Frederick is the problem is Frederick. You said it's in my pocket, not considering that your outfit has literally dozens of pockets.
Yeah. Where would I be without all of my pockets? No, wait, not that pocket.
It ends up being a bit like a comedy magician where Sonya is just in a pocket pulling out something that is clearly not that, and then the next thing, and there's just like a pile of small mechanic tools and loose screws and like a half of a sandwich that's wrapped up, just piling up on the floor next to you as she's rifling through all of your pockets. Hilarious, and also probably not going to get you killed, because as we've established, all of this is happening, and then Emma and Katarina are having this conversation. So it's pretty funny actually for the viewer to watch this building mountain of incompetence kind of like piling up, and then at one point the ropes just fall off of Emma and Katarina, who are like, "Oh dang."
I think I like Katarina's still just talking, just be like, just things just tend to work themselves out, and I'm just like super skilled and very capable, and like I just somehow manage to get out of every situation, and she just doesn't notice that like you're busy like flinging them up, wiggling out. So like, does that make you feel better?
And I just kind of like hold up the ropes, and I'm just like, yeah, I think so.
Hey guys, look, we did it. This is fine.
Are you guys?
When you look over, there is this mountain of stuff kind of slowly piling around
Yes.
us, and we're still like rolling around.
How did you
being like,
How
no,
did you fit this wrench in your pocket?
I always need a wrench. You never know what you might need it for.
Kat doesn't even have one pocket in her. This is why, Kat. This is why you don't have any pockets. Fred has all of the pockets.
I didn't even need pockets. Okay.
Your pockets also break up like the slim lines of the cat
That
burger
was my
suit,
look.
right?
Okay.
If you lot are
You
free,
guys,
a little help.
Oh, yeah, yes. So I'm gonna come over. Can I just make a prestidigitation roll to help undo the knots and stuff?
Yeah, prestidigitation to untie the knots, or again, like melee again to cut them. I would take that as well. I mean, obviously you pick
Let's see.
prestidigitation first because it's fun to say, but
It is, but I rolled a 96. Whoever did these ropes much better than whoever did our ropes. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not making. You know what? I missed the knot day in Scouts. I'm not great with knots. Weirdly,
I mean, it tracks. They have more time to do our ropes.
Not good with knots.
it's better than the joke that I was going to make, because I was going to say that I have NPCs written down here, and that Katarina and Emma were just they were tied up by John, from Liverpool, and then
Classic
Frederick
John.
and Sonya, because we've established this as a multinational bit. They were tied up by Ito Shibari, which explains how we've ended up in this position.
That also explains a lot now that you mention that.
terrible.
In which case, there are no knots. What are you talking about?
I have been exposed as a fraud. Okay. Let's rush right past that before I start
Expose
getting
myself
interesting
instead.
moments on.
Okay, I'm gonna like try and save the day or something, like whatever. So I think Katarina had already reversed her belt. It's white on one side and black on the other. The black side does have her lock picking tools, like in little pouches. She doesn't actually have any knives. Like she wasn't fighting with a knife. She got I got nothing. But can I say, as a part of my lock picking tools, I have like ickle blade.
A file or
Like-
something.
Well, like a file that's going to take a while, but a blade, but it's just like maybe that long and doesn't have a
Oh yeah, sure.
handle. So yes, I shall select the right tool for the job, and then just like tiny little. Eventually get through. And I do that. It's gonna take too long.
Are you thinking about prestidigitation there as well, or?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, sure.
And while this is going on, can I see a way out of here? I don't suppose that they just like left the doors open and completely unhindered. At least like the big front one.
No, they wouldn't have gone around and locked the whole place up tight. Again, they're in a hurry, but they also we're in the kind of Cold War comic book spy movie where the villains are a little incompetent. We are not in like the James Bond universe of that. So the big rolling doors are shut. The side doors, we'll say on the west side, is where the kind of fire has picked up the most. That's where you were with the crates falling down, so there's more like tinder exposed. So that the blaze is a bit roarier on that side. That's how you measure fires. There's roaring, roarier, and roariest.
Sure. Yeah.
The rear of the building safest because that is furthest away from where they started the fire. And then the east side second safest, we'll say. There is smoke filling up. We can say that as a consequence, Emma, your failure, and then the Frederick taking a while, that it started to kind of get pretty smoky in here. Not such that you can't like navigate because the building hasn't like melted into a new shape or anything. But there are crates kind of starting to fall around, and it might be troublesome to paths you thought that may have previously been clear may not now be clear.
Okay. While Kat is helping Sonya and Fred, can I find a way through and over and try and find a way out? So I'm not just standing around being useless.
How many
yeah,
story points to find a fire axe?
I think there'd probably be a fire fax in the room that's pretty reasonable. So like 2, just to say. Well, because
I'll spend 2 points for a fire axe.
Well, let's say that there's probably 1 in here because like building codes existed in 1960.
That's fair.
But it would be 2 for there to be 1 like near you.
Yeah, I'll do that. Just in case we need it.
Yes, Emma, I would take search probably. Alertness less so, but I'm willing to work with it. Or if you have a suggestion, I'm open.
I would rather go with alertness because my search is not great. So I mean, and if that means like climbing onto a crate that looks fairly sturdy and trying to like, keep an eye out for a door, or like, whichever door may be like the safest that I can see, I'm fine making that choice.
It'd be athletics to get on top of the crates, and harder because they have been structurally undermined by fire. But there is still the skylight, so that's another option to get out if you wanted to pursue that.
Ooh. I mean, that's really cool. I don't know how we get, because we didn't come in through the skylight, did we? So we don't. Did we?
Yeah. You both came in through the skylight.
Yeah, you jumped down into the skylight, and then you jumped down onto the people, and then things went wrong from there. But it was a great plan up until that point.
Yeah, I just worry about my ability to get back out. But yes, I would like to try and use my alertness to try and find a way out. So if that means I have to make an agility check to get on top of something and try and use that skill, that's fine.
I'll say that if you want to climb up, it will make your alertness easier. We'll say that, right? Essentially trading one danger for another. But
Sure.
If you're on the ground level, trying to stay low enough as not to like stick your head up into the smoky parts, like it'll make alertness harder. So it's kind of to you. Do you take the risk on a harder alertness check, or do you take the risk on climbing and then maybe falling?
Yeah, I guess climbing up when there's smoke in the room, probably a bad idea. So I'm just going to take a harder alertness roll and see what happens.
Have that.
Ooh,
say
okay.
-2 pips is the default modifier for things that are slightly harder, so.
I rolled a 51.
Oh, that's painful. That hurts.
That is. I was so excited because I passed, and I was going to spend to flip if that wasn't enough, but then I forgot about the pips. So
Pips
before flips, remember?
Right.
Pips before flips.
Well,
so automatic fail.
Yeah, and it's just troublesome is the thing. I will say that we've established there are 5 ways out, right? There's front garage door, east, west, back, and north, which is 4. That's my math. No, there are 4 sides of the building and 1 up top. I was right. So we'll say that you have not found a way out, but you have eliminated one of the options, right? That as you go to push back towards we talked about how there's the rear of the building probably the safest just based on like the way fire works. So you start heading that direction. You're like, oh god, well this way over on this side is not working. So you gain a little bit of information, but you have not yet found a clear path forward. If you decide to roll alertness again, we'll say that it's a straight roll and no negative modifier because you kind of process of elimination your way out.
Okay.
we have not yet resolved whether or not Sonya and Frederick are actually out of the ropes yet, though. So, Katarina, I need to get back to you for a second.
I got a 93, but I'm spending 2 story points to flip it to a 39, which passes.
So then, Sonya, Frederick, the ropes join the pile of randomness on the ground around you. We are all standing.
Is this stuff important or?
Yes, it has to go back.
Bring that back.
Sandwich is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
You never know when you need a snack.
Yes, I always carry one on me at all times, and it's stuffing stuff in his pockets as he goes. It's like, this is so unorganized.
Do you have any donuts in there, or like pastries or anything?
Yes, actually, no. There's a compartment in my mechanics toolbox which should be.
We have to find Fred's toolbox.
Yes.
We need to find a way out first.
So on that
Can
note,
you help with that?
It is starting to get really, really hot. I'll give you this one next action, and after that, it's going to start costing a point of vitality to be in the building.
Oh boy. Okay.
Because the heat and the smoke and all of that. We know that Emma has found one way that is not the right way. And you have all the information about the building. Sonya, this is probably also time that you will stumble into the fire axe, right?
Yeah, well, I will grab the fire axe. Yeah, in case danger, break glass. It's very dangerous. Break the glass, take that, and then I want to take a look around to see if I spot anything. Because Emma found the wrong way. Maybe I can find the right way.
Well, how about I give you these options? You could either you can do search or alertness, as is the case, but you could also melee the wrong way until it becomes the right way, because you have the fire axe.
I like that idea.
What are the walls of the building made of?
They're made of brick.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I will. The way it's not out, I will turn it.
The right tool.
I will turn it into the way out with a fire axe.
So sorry, to be clear, I'm not talking about chopping the way through the brick wall. More that Emma is looking for a way through the maze of crates to get to the back, and the one way she thought was correct has collapsed down. But Sonya can chop a path clear for you. I hope the dice haven't been doing super good for us so far. I don't want to kill you in this building, so help me out on that by rolling well.
I'm gonna do my best. I'll roll melee to take an axe to some of these crates. See if we can find our way through.
You know what's in the crates, though? Chicken
Feathers?
We know what's in some of the crates.
I thought we'd established that it was an entire warehouse full of chicken
Can I
feathers.
spend some story points
It's
to
a giant
make it
dock.
something that is not flammable?
Frederick's like, oh wow, they've been shipping fire extinguishers out of this place too. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, but that's not what you want to chop up with an axe.
Oh no!
That's an 11 to chop with axe.
Well, there you go. So not
That's
only
a critical success.
it's a critical success, yeah. So take yourself a story point. You get 1 for a critical success, and then just making excellent work of it. To the point, I would think that the effectiveness with which Sonya is using this axe will raise questions in the minds of onlookers as about like how did you learn to do that? But going straight through it, and Emma, at this point, you're absolutely correct. This is the path, at least the outside of not the outside of the warehouse, but like the outermost lane of the inside of the warehouse, and it appears to be a straight shot back out to the other end. We can use agility to make that sprint, and then the condition just being that if you pass your agility test, you've made it out before anything too terrible has happened. If you fail it, you make it out, but there's still the burns or the smoke inhalation or something falls and you get a little battered up. But pass or fail, we'll say folks make it out. We'll just see what the result is otherwise.
Okay, so I rolled a 50, but I'm gonna spend 2 of my story points to flip it and make it a 5 so I don't get any injuries.
Between you and me, that is a really big spend to avoid a not all that bad consequence. Your choice, but
Oh, okay.
1 point of
I assumed
vitality
it was
missing.
gonna be- Okay, no, that's fine. Then I won't. I just assumed that it would be like a harm condition or something. So
No, just that 1 point of vitality, because you're
great, yeah.
the building gets more on fire as you go. If there's 2 or 3 turns later, then it'd be worse. But in this case, it's more like I'm just trying to remember having seen Backdraft from so many years ago. The sputtering and the coughing, of course, from the smoke, or you're running and like you stumble a little bit and then glance up against the wall, which is hot, and it's a minor burn, right? But not to the point of where like you become charred or barbecue or anything like that.
Can I be like running behind Emma and just occasionally just like brushing burning chicken feathers off her coat?
I suppose that depends a lot on what the result of your roll was.
14.
Yeah, then you're fine.
I got a 42. I failed. I will
Okay.
join in the slightly injured club.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Frederick has a
I
nervous
got a
smile.
60. However, it's not that I want to flip it. It's that I would rather that instead of just failing because, like, Frederick is very not agile at all remotely. Can it be because I spot my toolbox and I divert away from these? From the
absolutely.
exit to go grab it. So
Take 2 story points for failing on purpose. You gain 2
no,
back.
I don't need more story points. I need to spend some.
You have them now.
Well, okay, so I've spent 2 to flip it so that I've succeeded, but I've gone.
But actually,
Sure, however the math works out.
Sure.
So then this creates an amazing moment, though, because of course, Katarina, you passed, and Emma, you failed, but like you are coming out in front of this. Sonya, what was your result?
I got a 42 over a 15, so I failed.
Okay. So then, so Katarina and Emma, you make it out first, and there's like the coughing and like the, of course, being on fire and stuff. And then once you reach a certain safe distance, you turn around, and then like through the smoke, you can see as it motions, just the smoke rolling around. You can hear like the crunch of the wood collapsing in different parts of it. And then Sonya comes shouldering through the door. Again, just like the jacket ruined, the beautiful purple hair, teal hair, rather singed in parts from being in there. And then the 3 of you are staring at the door. And like the seconds must feel like minutes as you're wondering what happened to Frederick. And there's like that moment of panic building up and you're getting a little more nervous. And then like it's like a scene from a movie where the firefighter bursts out carrying a baby, but it's not a baby, it's the toolbox.
Yeah. I think also it's juggling. I think she's juggling it a little bit because it's a little bit hot as well.
Oh.
Slow motion,
this.
like, and then tumbling forward out. So we have escaped the burning warehouse. In the distance now that you're not in the building, you can hear the sound of the fire brigade rolling in your direction. What happens now?
I think we should head back to the car before people show up and ask us questions that we don't really want to answer.
Yeah, I don't think we should be here for questions. But
I wholeheartedly agree. I managed to slip a tracker and on one of the cars, so we have a way of
Tracking
finding them.
octopus. Keep them down. We can still heist Pierre back.
Yes.
I love
yes.
this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Here.
Then I think it sounds like we should head back so we can track down that car.
Is this one of those situations where I should leave like my signature calling card, white ribbon, at the scene of the crime or not? It's not really.
So
Right kind of crime,
I
is
was. Yeah, but I was actually gonna ask if you wanted to get like a photo, like with the fire behind you, and like get you all like backlit and like standing like a badass, and then like your ribbon just like blowing. I know, right? I know.
Frederick is making a face of skepticism about this idea. And I would like Frederick to elaborate.
As the sirens get
do
ever
you really
closer.
think that's wise? This sort of criminal damage,
Awesome.
and
What am
I
I
mean,
saying?
is that really your MO? as it were.
I don't want to be known for arson because then people will be like,
No.
"Hey, you're gonna do some more arson?" I'd be like, "No, like arson's
But
like
here's-
so uncool."
But here's the thing, right? Because the story, right, is not that the White Ribbon committed arson, but that the White Ribbon had been kidnapped and escaped arson.
Yeah,
right?
like the White Ribbon
Like-
doesn't really get kidnapped. She's more like amazing and
Maybe we
successful.
do this away from the warehouse.
Exactly.
Those sounds
Okay.
are getting a bit.
If we
cozy.
decide we want the photo later, we'll just like set fire to something else and then get it then. We'll recreate
Okay,
it.
yeah. Fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Share a look with Frederick.
Fred and Sonya just don't get it. It's fine.
I mean, I'm sure none of you get why I ran around looking for my toolbox, but
It's got pastries in it. We established this.
It used to be a cheese sandwich. Now it's a cheese toasty.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
and it's nicely smoked.
Mhm. The hits keep coming. So then off to the car. No one has taken any kind of wound that require medical attention. Nothing you can't spritz up with a bit of a bandage. I don't know if they had burn cream in the 1960s, but we can say it was whatever was appropriate for the time.
Yeah, but my look, like my hair's messy, like I'm all grubby. Such a disaster.
That does lead the question then. Are you going to pursue the tracking signal? Is that, I know we'd mentioned it, is that where we're going?
Where are they
That's where-
right now?
Yeah, where I kind of want to do, just to make sure that we don't like lose them tonight.
So I guess we do. I'm gonna try and set it up and see if I can get them on the GPS.
Very well.
Wait,
Ooh, what role would that
when
be?
did GPS come on?
I was just wondering that.
It was not actually made available to the public until the 90s. It was.
That's not the public.
Oh,
Fred
I guess.
invented it themselves. So.
It might not have been made accessible to the public, but I mean, here's the thing about Fred. No, I'm not joking.
I
But yeah.
I think actually in the 1960s they hadn't done an especially good job of doing rockets at that point, but having Googled it, the first satellite was launched in 1978.
Okay. Is that too late?
Bill Clinton in 1992, it was a result of some air traffic going into airspace it shouldn't have. Anyway, sorry, it's not very often I get to brag about my deep knowledge of the GPS system, so it just came out of me. But all the same, an electronics role will take us in that direction if it is meant to be.
Okay.
Or I guess we, electronics is a real skill in this game. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was prepping for Call of
Well,
Cthulhu earlier,
yeah,
and I
it's-
couldn't remember.
I got a 66.
Oh no!
That's literally 1 over my electronic skill.
And because it's doubles, it's a crit
Critical
fail.
Which is because you get in their story point, which you've already told me you don't want.
Wait. You can spend story points to re-roll a task check, though.
True. Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
Mhm. You wouldn't get one for the critical fail, so
Oh, I wouldn't get what's called a reroll.
No, if you spend 2 to re-roll, that's fine. But you don't get the 1 for failing and then re-rolling. It's like the order of operations in the rulebook.
Yeah. So due to the situation of the last time, I ended up with 11 story points. So spending.
Yeah.
For the purpose of 54.
Well, it should come as no surprise that the car is heading towards, I don't know if it was called Charles de Gaulle at the time. I know at one point it was just the Paris airport, and then it became Paris CDG, but that is where you are heading. It is 23 kilometers northeast of Paris. So direction finding being what it is, when you've only got one line of bearing, you can say they are that way. But being competent spies, or sometimes competent spies, they are heading northeast on the outer road, right? They're not going into the city, they're going around it. So you come away with the impression that, yes, they are on a dash for the airport. They have a bit of a head start, naturally. But that is where we are going.
Okay. I think they're heading towards the airport. Let's, if we try and go after them, then we might be...
At least learn where they're headed to.
We've got to get them before they get the goods out of the country.
The goods being Pierre.
Oh yeah, sorry. Before they get Pierre out of the country.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Worth a try.
Yeah, I mean, Sonya is known for driving pretty quick. So,
Sonya, that's like your whole thing.
It really is.
Okay, how fast are we gonna go?
I don't know how fast can this car go.
To be clear, we did say it was a Mini Cooper. So
Yeah.
You did.
We're doing the Italian job.
All right, piling in.
Were seatbelts invented?
Yes, they weren't mandatory, but they did exist. They weren't mandatory as in they were not required to be installed in the car. That I do think also comes in the late 60s or 70s. I'll check later on the break. But Sonya's a race car driver. There's no way this thing does not have, if it not at least seatbelts, then the whole ass 5-point harness, right? Because...
Of course. Mini Cooper with a 5-point harness.
Mm-hmm. Then
Very
yeah.
obviously strap in.
What is your driving skill? I know driving is not a skill, but what is the one that handles driving? Vehicles, there it is.
Vehicles, yes, that is that word. That other thing. Vehicles, I got a 75.
Yeah, so roll it. Don't roll with Frederick's die, or Emma's die, or Katarina's die.
Oh, of course.
And you just know there's a bitchin' soundtrack going on right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's like bongos and shit, trumpets.
Oh.
It's good.
So I got a 91, but I'm gonna spend a story point to flip that to a 19 because I'm born behind the wheel.
Okay. Well, then explain to me what almost went wrong that you averted because you are the fucking best.
It is probably like one of those times where I just take a corner a little too wide, and there is just some poor Frenchman in the middle of the night driving, and we almost just clip him. But I'm able to just like jerk the wheel over and kind of just get us out of his way before we are back down the straightaway.
I don't speak enough French to know what terrible foulness would come out of that driver's mouth as you do, but the show
we would bleep
of
it anyways.
So then, tearing down the streets of it, you are getting closer. Frederick, can you keep them on the right track? Because you are essentially navigating, like, it's a weird thing where you are the human who is doing the job of the, like, tom-tom in the car.
Yeah.
Fred.
Okay, let's go. What I need to use with this. Not entertainment. Is it science?
If you want to use science, I'll take science.
Okay.
Because I think, imagining Frederick in the back, and you described it as a very big piece of equipment. So, like, you've got one hand with the antenna out the window, and then you're watching the thing bouncing back and forth. That sounds sciencey to me.
And
I have an
doing some
expert in
interpreting.
role-playing and science over here. We can throw to an expert judge.
Do you think it would be science, Sean?
I concur. Bang, bang.
Okay. Rolling for science, and I have rolled a 41. Mine is 65. And with my electronics toolkit anyway, I get plus 2 pips. So
Oh, there you go. Still on track. Sonya, you're making good speed. They are also making good speed. So you're getting close, but It's gonna be tight. We won't do the boringness of having you roll for like each district of Paris you go by, but you're getting closer and closer and closer to the airport. And now this is well before the 9/11 security state has swept in and made, you can still walk up to the to the jet bridge at this part of the day. However, they were pretty picky about who was allowed to go through the gates, right? You can't just drive onto the tarmac without attracting some amount of attention, which will probably rub you all the wrong way as you burn around a corner and you can see those Mercedes ahead of you. You remember the license plate because you're competent spies. Also, they're full of people. There's probably a really great panel in the comic book of like Pierre looking out the back like, and you're like, and Frederick is like, and then Emma and Katarina are just like, right?
Yeah.
Or no, Emma has the camera and is out the window doing the selfies back, right?
Mhm.
And they're approaching the gate, and you're like, got him. And then the person operating sitting there is rolling it aside to let the convoy go through.
No. So it's a big rolly. It's a big like metal mesh rolly. No, faster!
So from going behind the wheel, I can spend 2 story points and make a car stunt possible.
Oh, wait. Like a stunt, like maybe
It says
like,
driving on 2 wheels, jumping over obstacles.
like there's a ramp and we're gonna go over the gate. Like, are we gonna fly through the air? Can we fly through the air, please? I'm quite excited. Sorry, calm down.
If you're asking me, your story points, right?
Asking Sonya.
Yeah, I mean,
Do it.
and yeah, I've got 7 story points. I spare a couple to sort of do the thing. It's like maybe not necessarily intended as a ramp, but maybe it's one of those like tow vehicles that is kind of ramp-like.
Yes.
And do that up over the fence.
Emma is terrified, by the way. If you look over at me, I am just like gripping onto whatever I can grip onto, because what are we doing right now?
This car doesn't have OSHA handles.
It's like, this is probably a Tuesday evening for Sonya.
So then ramping over you go. And now we are streaming down the runway.
Oh my
Someday
God.
be Charles de Gaulle. It's a chain pursuit now, where you are pursuing the Mercedes with octopus agents inside. You are being pursued by the French federal police for having just broken onto an airport. It will be interesting to explain that when this goes on. When
I'm so happy.
once they capture you, well, not when they capture you, but when eventually you will have to stop.
We will.
One thinks. So, what is an airplane that was available in 1960 that looks cool? I want to say.
Also, just remember that the people in all the cars in front of us have guns and we don't. So, like, maybe we don't chase them too closely. Maybe we just chase them from back here.
Everyone
very
in
much
front of you
imagine
has guns, and everyone behind you
Has
has
guns.
I imagine that Frederick has just been looking at this thing and calling out directions.
Yeah, Frederick's not
this
even
whole
looking.
time
Yeah.
until the
Yeah.
car goes airborne. And it's like
That dimension isn't in your tracking. You're like, it says we're going a straight line.
This is really Sonya is driving the way that future generations will play Skyrim. You just have you have a dot on the GPS and you go straight for it. Who cares where the roads are, right?
Over the mountain? Sure.
So then, yes, screeching down the runway. There are planes that are being waved off, right? If you were listening to the air traffic controller, there's just French expletives pouring onto the radio waves. Plane taken off. You can see in the distance they're driving past the commercial ramps, right? They're looking for the private hangars and such. And you see them the 3 Mercedes stop in front of this big hangar. Inside, congratulations, England. It is a British Aerospace 125, which is a 6 or 7 person private jet. The engine pod's right up against the back end of it. Little short, cute, stubby wings. It's adorable aircraft. And you can already hear those turbines spooled up, ready to go. You will be able to see as you come, you're screeching coming into a stop, that the redheaded woman, who Katarina knows incredibly well, and 2 of the hot dog neck goons are hauling Pierre out, submachine gun in his back, pushing him up the stairs to this plane that has already been prepped and ready to go. This is a big operation. So you have police behind you, octopus in front of you. 3 of them are going up into the plane. The ones who are on the ground are doing that James Bond goon kneeling, ready to shoot you thing. You can see them all spread out. Quintessential spy action movie scene happening here. What happens next?
Fred is shouting, like, I don't think we want to encounter them again right now. Like,
Yeah, I think if seeing they're going to try to shoot at us, and especially like Scar is a handbrake, right?
Yeah.
All right,
You can have 2 if you think it's cooler.
So the idea of seeing that, you know, we're maybe a little bit too late to help Frederick, and especially a little too underarmed, decide maybe it's better if we get to safety for now, unless anybody has any other ideas. Can we catch any like identifying stuff on the plane? Maybe we can search through things later.
Yeah, this is after the formation. Sorry, we're in aviation territory now, so like this is my nerd wheelhouse. Yeah, there's an aviation civil identifier that every plane has to have. It's the one that's like NA and then 6 numbers on the back of them. You've seen them on helicopters and stuff. Required by law, no matter how rich or evil you are, you have to have one. That's how they tracked Jeff Bezos. So very easy to snap that. There is pressure, but not to see the thing, so you could grab that.
Yeah, just yell, just like somebody take a photo of that plane, and then as soon as that photo is done, we're going to make a very quick U-turn and start driving back the way we came.
Fred, do you have another tracker? We can like lasso onto that plane.
No.
And also survive at high altitudes, by the way.
No, this is very new technology.
Okay, but can I at least have a pastry?
Sure, but is that what you should be worrying about right now?
I like Sonya's using the handbrake, so it's where normally you would imagine a scene where there's like a drive-by shooting where they would handbrake and it would just be like guns pointed at the side. It's that, but it's Emma with the camera taking the like big flash, and then Sonya drops it back into first gear for the torque and goes screaming off in the other direction. Emma, do you have a cheeky quip that you?
Oh God, I'm not the cheeky one in this friendship. That's Kat.
I didn't know if you had like a tagline or whatever, like, you know, that's show business or whatever, something, you know. It's still something that we're working on. Kat thinks that I need to have a little bit better handle on my branding, as I fling dice everywhere. And I mean, I'm want to agree. I just it's just we haven't gotten there yet, unfortunately.
We're workshopping it.
Yeah. You've been to the first ideas. You've got the easy stuff off, and then now you're into the good brainstorming.
Yeah, that show business was like the first draft, and then Emma was like, "Yeah, it's actually not show business though. It's journalism."
And no one says that's journalism.
No, that's journalism didn't go over well. Neither did a picture's worth 1,000 words. It wasn't punchy enough. So
too long, Emma. No.
It's gotta be So you see, she has a lot of feelings. So no, we haven't come up with something that Kat likes for me.
You've only got a 15 in marketing, so it's going to be.
Yeah. really not great. Really not great.
So Sonya, where are we going? You're the one behind the wheel.
I imagine once we get out of there, it is just look at everybody in the rearview mirror and say, anybody have a place to lay low for the rest of the night?
Let's rewind on that because there was a very important presumption that you put at the beginning of that sentence, which is when we've gotten out of there. And we haven't yet.
We have not gotten out of there.
So you are in a police chase.
I'm in a police chase. That is true. I am going to drive towards.
I am acutely interested in how you intend to leave the airport.
Question is whether we're going back over the gate. That's my question. Are we getting airborne again?
I mean, I have story points.
It's also hilarious that you jump in, do a drive-by asshole selfie, and then jump back out, right? Like,
I like the idea of I just hit it for when they're gonna be letting somebody else in. So I just managed with this little Mini Cooper to just get through. Like maybe I do the whole two-wheel thing for a second. I'll spend those 2 story points.
We'll make a driving test first, and we'll see.
That's
okay.
Cute. 2 wheels like around someone else is super cute.
Mm-hmm.
17.
Yeah. So you then so we go now. We're back to Frederick staring back down at the equipment, trying to or rooting around for the pastry or whatever. Look up, and like the horizon is entirely wrong.
Just
no. Yep.
Why is everything shifting to the left?
Yeah. Frederick has closed their eyes and is just kind of waving the sandwich or assorted pastries at someone in the air. It's like, no. Tell me when we're back on the ground.
I think you will know because I've never ridden in a Mini Cooper, but I know that they are low to the ground, and I know that we didn't really have racing suspension for personal vehicles. So there's that trunk as like the entire undercarriage hits. And so you're still being pursued by the police. But it wouldn't be like a comic book chase unless the police chasing you then like slammed into the vehicles that you had deftly turned around. So Emma,
safely. They don't slam into it. They just have to brake and not cause any crash.
Oh, right. It's not a modern spy movie. It's a comic book. Yeah. So they come screeching to a halt, and then a mustachioed police officer leans out, like, but in French. So and now we're back on the highway. Where are we going now?
I'm gonna start heading towards where the racetrack is because I've got other cars there, and this car is going to need some tune-ups. The suspension on it is going to be a little wobbly for a bit.
So then, what is going on in other folks' heads?
Well, you have to. When you're investigating things, there's kind of a you have to follow the steps, right? And the first thing is to go to the source, and our source is currently surrounded by people with guns, and they're getting on an airplane. So the second option then is to follow the source's source, wherever he theoretically, whatever he's been working on, the things that got the octopus's attention. He wouldn't have just been carrying them around. If they were at his home or something like that, we could pop over there and see what's going on inside.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Pierre Martin works for La République, which is not how you pronounce that in French, but I'm from Nebraska. What do you want from me?
So then, going to the office, right? Finding his place of work, finding his desk, seeing what he's been working on, things like that, is probably our next best option, given that he is no longer available to us.
we also established that Sonya, you were friendly with Pierre, so you may or may not know his home address. Is this a trip that we're all making together, or are you splitting up to cover ground?
There's a little thought bubble coming from Katarina's head in the cartoon, which is just looking at Frederick and thinking, well, they got the pastry out of the box, but then they closed their eyes, and he's not giving me the pastry, but she's holding the pastry, so maybe could I just take the pastry? And that's just going on. Wow. Yes, what's happening? I want to be rude.
Love that.
I think the conversation bubbles are Sonya, Frederick, and Emma having a very serious conversation, but then also just in it is the thought bubble of
the pastry. I mean, I would. If I imagine I have had interviews or at his home before. It's a regular thing. So yeah, I would if the idea has been brought up to maybe go see exactly what he was working on at his house, I would start heading there.
Turning to the question, is this something that you were doing together or something that you intend to split up and cover more ground?
Oh, is that better? I think we should stick together.
Yeah, I think sticking together is good.
Sticking together is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Look what happened when last time we split up.
Yeah, not great.
It all worked out.
So well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not dead. You got 2 cool jumps out of it. And awesome. I mean, the picture thing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I nearly have a pastry. I want to leave the person with the pastry.
Just have the pastry.
God, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Katarina's a thief, but she's also polite, right? It would be rude to...
Yeah, she's not gonna steal it where the person that she's stealing from could see her do it.
Right.
I probably could. Actually, that does sound like a challenge. Now you've put it like that, and I'm just I could totally do that.
Okay.
And then I'd just leave a white ribbon on your wrist, and then you'd look down and there would be no pastry, and there'd be this white ribbon. You'd be like, what's happened? I've been got! The white ribbon strikes again! Maybe. Let's go to his office then, right? Or his house. Where's he going to keep secret notes?
I mean,
probably.
his office would... Well, I mean, either one. I think that, if he's been working on a story for work, I don't feel like you'd go through all this much trouble and not keep some stuff at work. I could be wrong, but that's how
Sonya
I would
knows
do it.
him best, yeah.
Sonya, you know him best. Is Pierre a work at the office chain smoking kind of guy, or is he a work at home chain smoking and also drink? It's 1960, could drink at work too. Which place is he most likely to chain smoke and drink while working on journalism? Is it in the office or is that his house?
I think it's at his house because anytime I've known him, he has an office, yes, but does he ever go to the office? Probably not. It's either he's working out in the field or working at his home.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with it when you're Pierre Martin.
Exactly. He just sends in the articles and they get published.
Mm-hmm. Well, then off we go to the apartment. He lives in a small 2-room apartment with sometimes his girlfriend, sometimes his other girlfriend. There are many girlfriends.
Sometimes his boyfriend.
In a sequence, yeah, sometimes a boyfriend. It's all, and it's not sometimes it's in sequence, sometimes it's in parallel. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say. But in this case, you are lucky enough that no one is home when you arrive.
Yeah, I don't want to explain that.
Yeah, you don't want to be delivering the bad news.
I'd like to break into his house.
I'm pretty sure I know where he might keep the spare key.
We'll take it for a story point.
Challenge, but okay.
Yeah, I was just offer up a story point to say keeps the spare key above the door.
Mm-hmm. It'd be 2. I also think it's perfectly fine, Katarina, if you want to roll your lock picking, and then even as you're all right, I'm on the case
simultaneously, and I'm trying to, and I'm I see her go for the spare key, and I'm must lock pick faster.
No, I think it would be even funnier if it's the key is only to the back door, so I go in the back door, and then right as Katarina unlocks and opens the front door, I'm standing right there, what took you so long?
Damn it! Well, I rolled a 15, so get in there at least.
I love this. the keys for the back door. Katarina's picking the front door lock. The amount of time it takes Sonya to walk around, it means it's a smaller urban place, and we'll say that because it's a 2-bedroom, but we'll say it's like 2 stories, so there's like the long hallway down the center with the stair on the side. So Sonya turns the key and Katarina turns the pinion, and then both doors open at the same time, and you're just staring at each other like the Spider-Man meme.
Look at Emma and say, like, don't put that bit in the story.
No, obviously not. No, you lockpicked the door. That was the important part.
Yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm. Still breaking and entering.
Well, not the worst thing you've done tonight. The apartment is Pierre's. It's obviously the prototypical. What's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say wanderlusting schlong, but I was looking for something a little more delicate to describe Pierre. But your prototypical, male mid-30s, extremely popular, flamboyant, flashy celebrity journalist with legions of fans, right? Like, so every wall has a bookcase. None of them are organized. There are weird souvenirs from all the places that he's done work, right? It's a little it's like a combination of a library and a temple and an office, and it's a temple to his own ego. The point that I'm trying to make is, who the fuck knows what is evidence here and what is just Pierre's stuff. So investigation would be helpful. Search would be harder.
Well, thank God, I am an investigative journalist. That's one of the things that I do. Let's see if I can do them well.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend 2 story points.
Oh my god.
Because that was an 88.
Oh.
And I don't want to critically fail. So I'm gonna spend 2 story points and try one more time. Because you see, what had happened was 49 under 65, much better. So yeah, there's so many piles of stuff. So I go for the first pile and I realize as soon as it all kind of starts falling that it's not at all what I'm looking for. This is old back issues of some magazines and things, stuff that he clearly was not using for any research. But hopefully then I find what I'm looking for.
The old men's magazine.
Yeah.
You're the type for that? What kind of article do you find in like 1960s Maxim? What does a 1960s lad mag have to say about the world?
I don't know. I've never looked at them myself. But here's the thing. I think Pierre is a very interesting person. And I think that maybe they were specific issues that followed specific people that he was looking into. So it may not have been that he was looking at these, like there was something that he was trying to piece together. There was a timeline that he was trying to figure out about some model that had been in these magazines. Who knows? Who knows?
Or maybe he just likes the page 3 girls. Who knows? We'll never know because he's in an airplane now.
Yep. Can't ask him.
I saw Frederick smiling, and I want you to know that I put a lot of effort into internationalizing this game, and I have learned so much about Europe and the United Kingdom in the last 2 weeks. So that's where I got cheese toasty earlier when we were talking about
You didn't know about cheese toast. It didn't even
Wait,
occur
is
to
that
me.
not Is that not
I know what they are. We just don't call them that.
Oh,
Is it a
I
grilled
guess you call them a
cheese?
grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese.
Yeah.
I thought grilled
Yeah.
cheese is open. Not open.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-mm.
No?
Oh, okay.
No. Grilled cheese is
Grilled
not
it
open.
under the grill.
Why would... okay, we will talk about grilled cheese later.
This is a
not the
conversation
time or
that-
the place.
This is a conversation Emma and Katarina can have in the car. Because at one point I was going to be like, oh, I need fucking grilled cheese. And she's like, well, now is not the time for an open-faced sandwich. And then...
Yeah.
Or you're having
That'll
it
be great.
now, where Katarina
Yes.
is like, oh, I could go for
Katarina's
a
just
snack.
like, could go for a cheese toasty right now.
Yeah.
As Emma is going about the place, trying to decipher useful from not useful, Sonya, Frederick, what are you up to? Or Katarina, for that matter, if you're not just loitering over Emma's shoulder.
So I think Frederick would also be searching, but to find out more about, obviously the piece of evidence or whatever that we'd uncovered was that book, and wondering if there is any more information about the lost U-boat and all of the things.
Very well. I'll take search. I'll take investigation. Emma has found the investigation clue. There are others attached to other skills in the building.
Yes, it will be search. It will be a 30. Under 65.
Excellent. Then yes, you are going about your business, watching Emma investigate, trying to mentally build the board and put the strings together. Okay, let me ask you this. If I were working from my home and I had sensitive materials that were important scoops, where would I keep them?
In the bathroom.
I'm asking Frederick, and no.
Oh.
So I...
And don't think about like room. Like, you have something valuable. Where are you going to put it?
I think it would probably be in the bedroom, but like under the bed. I'm thinking like under the bed, maybe in a hidden safe, under like a rug underneath the bed, sort of situation.
And right you are. There is and we'll go one further. Right, it's going to be super fancy. That it's got like a false floor, right?
Yeah.
So you can pull the wood up out like a puzzle piece, and then that's where the safe is. But it is a safe, and it's a big, thick boy.
Katarina, meanwhile, has been like moping around trying to find something else to lockpick and show off, and she keeps like opening cupboards and they're not locked, and like, welcome cupboard, no, not Fred, sure, not locked.
You hear Fred kind of calling your name from the bedroom.
You go running over, like super keen, and then just like looking casual, just like, yeah.
Have you ever seen a cat get scared and then try to get traction on a waxed floor?
Yeah, do you need my help or anything?
So I think this kind of thing is perhaps your area.
Gosh, it totally is. Okay. Super excited that there's a safe, and I'm gonna try and break into it, and I'm gonna do it as performatively as possible, with maximal flair. As long as Fred is watching, I will occasionally glance over to make sure Fred is still watching. I'm going to go with prestidigitation, even though it's less good because I've got a ability that I can flip it for a story point. If I'm open at picking a lock or cracking a safe, that's nice! Yeah. 18. Don't even need to.
Oh, it seems like not only that you've passed, but you've done it in a way that is obnoxiously like cool.
What does Frederick's face look like right now?
I think Frederick, like when Frederick is looking at this and is just kind of like somewhat amused, but whenever you look over, has like reschools their face, be like, oh yes, very good.
Oh yes, that's what I wanted. Good, excellent. Happy days. Oh right, yes, I opened the safe. Sorry, that's the important thing here. What's in it?
So there are two things together that you will have both found inside the safe is a large manila envelope, the kind that has the little tie on it, like the big thick ones. Obviously full of stuff. When you open it up, it has a picture of a boat. It has a memo from the University of Hamburg, the Faculty Department of Marine Biology, and then two photos of people. That's what I can give you. I'll post these elements in our game chat, and we'll have them come up here on the screen.
Okay, so boring papers. Emma likes that kind of stuff, but I just gotta give it to her.
It's like, no, let me just...
What is this exciting? Can we read the letter out loud? Do you want to read it, Fred?
Yeah, okay.
Because I definitely don't care, and I'm trying to embody my character and not care. It's not going well.
University of Hamburg, Faculty of Marine Biology. The migration pattern of I don't know why I said I'd read this out loud because I can't. Coelacanths remains unknown. The capture of coelacanths has so far been lucky catches by local fishermen in Indochina and the African East Coast, but no academic study has been performed in situ. The biological faculty hereby proposes an expedition to study the migration pattern of coelacanths on location and request grants for the rent of the research vessel, MS Adonia, and a crew for no longer than 60 days, including sailing to and from the base of operation in Silangit, Sitamayang. Sitamayang, okay. Salaries for following expedition members: Dr. Erwin Jaeger, marine biologist, expedition leader; Dr. Hans Reinhardt, historian; Dr. Emma Walter, sonar and magnetometer specialist; Dr. Michael Koenig, mathematician, statistician, and cryptanalyst; Simon Hinkler, dive master; Adrian Renault, deep sea diver; Carlson Porter, deep sea diver; Bill Murdoch, diver; Marco Politani, diver; Salvaggi Ricci, diver; Alfonso Ricci, diver. The total budget for the expedition is DM 513,451. See Appendix A. Sincerely, Dr. Erwin Jaeger. Funding has been approved. What?
I believe that is meant to be Deutschmarks.
Yes, okay. In Deutschmarks. So quite a bit of cooperation across Europe here. Would I recognize any of those names, perhaps?
Yeah. What's your score in humanities?
Low.
Okay.
50.
Then the connection's not going to be entirely apparent, except that the two photos, one is of someone with the name Jürgen Engels, and the other is the name Johann Fresner. But given those humanities, not clear that you would be able to pick apart the uniform for what it is.
Right.
Katarina's making a face. What's up?
No, Shamini was making a face. Katarina zoned out when Fred said university.
I know someone here does have humanities, right?
No.
We all have
I'm
to
checking.
More of a case of
Not me.
perhaps through institute connections, I would know some of the, like one of these people.
Oh.
My job.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, does anyone have? Well, let's see. Like red tape might do it.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of red tape.
Okay, then between investigation and red tape, we should say that it's I don't know how you've come across this information or why you would know it. I will leave you to invent a plausible reason to do so. But the interesting thing about those pictures, aside from the fact that they contain Jürgen Engels and Johann Fresner, is that Jürgen Engels is wearing the uniform of a Nazi naval commander, specifically with U-boat pins. And Johann Fresner has a mechanic's mate badge in the same service. So if this is to be believed, the leader of the expedition is formerly a U-boat captain. In the photo, he is wearing an Iron Cross, which means he was an especially good one.
So, yeah, I believe the boat that we're looking for possibly is in Sitamayang, or at least
I thought we were looking for Pierre.
Yes, we are looking for Pierre. Yes, sorry.
We need someone in this conversation who cares about Pierre.
Sorry. Yes, but I mean, clearly this is what Pierre was working on, and investigating. So perhaps Pierre could end up there.
Did have the book.
What book?
The book about the lost U-boat.
Yeah, the book. Also, the people in the warehouse were saying something. Emma, they were saying like, "Oh, where did you get this information? Oh, U-boat, Nazis. Who told you this?"
Yeah. Yep. So obviously there's something tying him. I mean, like this is what he's been working on, and this is why Octopus wanted him, because they want to know what he knows and what he's found, and maybe if we find out where he's going, we can find out where they've taken him and like track him. I'm like, if this has something to do with the U-boat, then maybe the plane is going that way, and we can find out like where they're going, and
they're flying
actually
to Sitamiang to like look for a U-boat for some reason. The only is the plane.
Should be pretty easy to find out where the plane is going.
Oh yeah, you got the number and everything.
We got a photo of it. Yeah.
Okay, we gotta like call plane people and be like, "Hey, plane people, help us find a plane." I don't know how that works. Emma, how does that work?
It's fine. I've got contacts. I can call somebody.
Emma, you're the best.
I know.
There's one piece of the puzzle that we haven't quite figured out, which is why
do they want a U-boat?
Yeah. If they are upset enough about Pierre knowing about it that they're willing to kidnap him and light you all on fire. Because
also they were like, "Who told you and where did you get this information?" So is the information like where the U-boat is, or is the information like what went down with the U-boat that's like now trapped at the bottom of the sea? They wanted.
What did my investigation role show up? Because I never got an answer.
I know. I was doing this clever GM thing where I led into the "what are we missing" so I could say, well, Emma might have more information on that.
Aha, okay.
Although I expect that it will be a little bit, perhaps, answering questions with questions. Because the key piece of information that Pierre seems to have really fixated on for some amount of time is a catalog from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, New York, United States. It is focused on the exhibition of The World of the Nibelungs, Richard Wagner's influence on late 19th century German art. And one of the paintings, Brunhild Rides to Valhalla, is circled. It's the only thing in the whole damn book that has any kind of marking on it. That is attributed to a follower of Zoj Eberhardt. I don't know that first name. I've literally never encountered it until just now, and I've read this before, so I must have skipped over it then. A subsection of this is dedicated to the Nazis' Wagner obsession. This would be a really good time if someone had humanities, but well. In addition to that, there's a pamphlet, like a handout, a single page, that is an interview with the author of the book that Sonya found. I think Sonya has this information, but it might have been called to attention, but it is by a Dr. Stephen Armstrong. It is published through Columbia University Press, in part because that is a prestigious publishing house, and in part because Dr. Armstrong is faculty at Columbia. The bookmark is a plain itinerary. It showed that before now, Pierre had made a trip to New York, spent 3 days, and returned. He arrived here 2 days ago, right before his kidnapping.
We have to find out what Pierre knew.
Hold up the book. We could talk to this guy.
That guy could be the only one who knows, apart from Pierre, and possibly all of those octopus people, if Pierre told them, which he might have done.
I mean, torture. Yeah, people say a lot of things that are torture.
They were tickling the shit out of him.
Yeah.
They were, yeah.
I think we need to know exactly where we're going. And then if they don't know, we'll have one up on them and we'll get there first. And then well, I don't know. Maybe you guys could do the U-boat thing. But we should go to New York right now.
Think
Are you
in the
busy
morning.
Yeah, like, how hard can it be?
Sure, it's fine.
You're a crew of incredibly competent, globe-spanning, Nazi-hunting, mystery-solving sleuths. I'm sure you will figure it out. But before we go to New York, we should probably go to break because it's been about halfway through our adventure. And we'll want to give you some time to digest the clues, digest some snacks, dive into some water because you need to hydrate. And we provide giving you all the same advice as well to our folks at home. So we are going to take 10 minutes to situate ourselves. When we come back, we might be in the Big Apple. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, friends. We are hydrated and more than a little giggly, having had some time over the break to go through the various clues, things that we've missed, things we've put together, a very important conversation about pronunciation of many, many different words. You know what? We should put it on Patreon. We'll let people see what we got up to in that conversation. Hashtag Patreon mid-game plug. But that is not the only information that I have been enthusiastically corrected on. So before we head to New York, first we're going to head to the classroom because over at RP Geeks, they do science and Starfinder, and it would be inappropriate of me to not avail myself with the expertise of one Shamini Bundell. So we have, I've already forgotten how it's to pronounce. I'm assuming it's a kind of fish, an important kind of fish.
Do you want some fish facts, everyone? I got fish facts for you.
Immerse me in the storyline by immersing me in the ocean.
Well, I'm really hoping this is going to be a key part of this story. Is going to be going on a marine biology expedition and maybe seeing some coelacanths. Yes, please. That'd be great. So coelacanths is spelled with a C, but it's pronounced with a S sound. I don't know why. Something Latin probably. Are particularly cool because I did have to look up the date for this. Basically, they were discovered, as it were, in 1938. So yes, plenty of time for this. But the reason it was exciting is that they were rediscovered, is that there was quite a well-known group, but only from the fossil record, millions of years ago, and everyone was like, wow, yes, the ancient coelacanth that we know from ye olden times, and they are very important in the evolution of things that walk on land because they have big strong bones in their limbs, a bit like lungfish, and they could have evolved into animals like us that walk on land. But obviously they were gone a long time ago, and then they found some alive, which they're one of these ones that get called living fossil a lot. They're a living fossil because they had a load of fossils and they had a live one, although it's not really accurate, and they definitely have changed and evolved since dinosaur times, so it's not like they've sort of stayed exactly the same and a magical representation of frozen in ancient time, but they are super cool. So I hope the story involves lots of coelacanths.
It does now. I think it's
how deep do they swim?
I'm imagining a scientist having a Jurassic Park moment, when Dr. Grant is like, holy shit, it's a brontosaurus. There's some marine biologist it's a living dinosaur, and I found that kind of enthusiasm.
Yeah. I also wonder if it was one of these cases. I may be misremembering this, but quite a lot of the time it's science goes oh my god, we've discovered this, and the local people are yeah, we eat that. That's just that's yesterday's dinner, I don't know what you guys are so excited about. So the discoveries of Western science is not always true.
Well, if we have sent if we've sent Shamini down a coelacanth hole for more discoveries, I'm expecting updates on Twitter to tag us and tell us what's going on in that area. Yes, so information that we have discovered. There is a large manila envelope that has an expedition with the MS Adonia, if I recall, where there is a Nazi U-boat captain who is posing as a marine biologist, or perhaps he is a marine biologist, midlife crisis career change sometime around 1944. and a junior officer also on board. They are heading to Sitomayang, which we had an indication of. We know that the U-boat, U-909, maybe U-909, I'll go back and double check that, but a very specific U-boat ended up there, which is the text of the book that Sonya discovered and kind of flipped through. There was a U-boat sent on a special mission.
890, apparently.
890. U-890 sent from Hamburg to Japan on a very, very top secret mission, and then something went wrong. Haven't found it yet. We know that Octopus wants it. They wanted enough to shut down Pierre Martin and figure out who he's been talking to, because he might have information about its locale and its contents. And all it cost us was a dainty jaunt through an airport, a burning building, and some breaking and entering that was totally unnecessary in the face of a key being had.
Totally necessary.
Now, most of these leads point towards New York. That whatever's happening in Sitomayang, it's pretty apparent that our Nazi friends don't know where the boat is or exactly what's going on, and that Pierre was investigating it and had gone to New York City, which poses an important question. I know Sonya's a very good driver, but we cannot drive from Paris to New York. So if we want to go there, I don't know what the telecommunications infrastructure was like in the 1960s, but I'm guessing the Zoom meeting is going to have very high latency if you wanted to get in touch with the professor. Also, you would be struggling to see the painting in person. We haven't done like the 3D art gallery. We don't have to go to the Mona Lisa because I've got pictures of it kind of thing. So
I think Frederick might have a solution for that.
Pray tell.
So I guess we don't talk a lot about Frederick's job. I mean, they're on sabbatical. They're just a mechanic, an engineer. But they're an engineer for the Institute. And the Institute is one of those organizations that would absolutely let a secondary engineer on sabbatical just borrow their plane, right?
Sounds right to me.
Because, yeah, engineers are important. They do important stuff. Because they're just engineers.
Definitely just engineers. If you wink any harder, I think it's going to cause a medical issue with what is going on there. Will you you don't have to reveal this to the players in character, but will you tell the audience what the Institute is actually up to?
I mean, the Institute is researching, well, obviously, there's quite some interest in this U-boat and forgotten tech from, how to say it, ancient and possibly alien civilizations. It's basically an institute of research of spooky shit and
I am extremely suspicious.
Yes.
Is that the technical term for it? Spooky shit?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100% technical term.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yes. They're one of those organizations. However, they are committed to on the face of it, they're committed to finding future-looking versions, or investing in forward and future-looking tech for addressing the energy needs of the world, essentially.
Incredibly well-funded, shadowy, benevolent organization. I mean, Well, you have to get in contact with them somehow. I'm sure there's it's got to be the kind of thing where like you call a phone number and they're like, Department of Sanitation, how can I help you? And you're like, oh, the pipes are frozen on 17 July Street. And they're like, all right. And then you get punched into the actual network, right?
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's much simpler than that. It's very much kind of you make a call to a number and you get a dial tone, but that's fine because you're inputting another number and then another couple of numbers, and it's like, okay. One of them might be a badge number, one of them might not. One of them might be a CAS code, and then it's like, yes, plane to New York. and possibly switch my own.
Yeah. Jet setting.
What portion of this do you reveal to the other investigators, or is it just like get in the car, losers, we're going to New York?
It's like, I think there's something that could be possibly interesting to my work, so I could call my boss and maybe ask them if we can go to New York.
Oh, like, so we just sort of put it on expenses.
Yeah,
I think all of
something
this
like
is happening as Emma is also trying to figure it out. Like Emma's like making calls like, hey, like how much for a plane? Excuse me, how much? No. Okay, all right, commercial flights, 4 tickets. How much for these? Oh my God, are you joking? No. And then just like trying really hard to like find something. And then just like Frederick from the back is like, I mean, I could make a call. And Emma's like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. I'm going to keep trying my stuff too, just until such a time as I know that, you know.
Yeah. So, whenever we're ready, we can go to the airport.
Like, what are you going to tell your work though? Like, how are you going to pretend that it's relevant? Like to engineering, to like fixing cars, or what?
Oh, it'll be fine. They trust me.
Really? My God, you must have like such a nice work.
Lawyers
yeah,
are very
they're lovely.
trusting.
Really lovely.
Do you think they'll let us expense the food as well?
Oh, I'm sure.
Really?
We can, yeah. Yeah.
Aww.
I mean, nothing too fancy.
Fine.
Katarina has not struck me as entirely picky on the eating front so far.
I have actually really like highbrow tastes.
So many cheese toasties.
Yeah, the Burning Warehouse cheese toasty.
And the grabbed pastry from the deli, yeah.
Well, returning to the airport this time, hopefully Sonya's driving a different car.
Yes.
And then, but the Institute, again, not flying commercial. So you get to have this moment where you go through the same gate and you're like, hope it's a different shift.
It's like 3 hours later because we all had to go home and change our clothes so they don't recognize us.
Well, we've also been doing it at night. I'm guessing folks are going to want to sleep.
Still covered in feathers if we had to go back. So
Yeah.
no, I'd like to sleep.
We will give everyone the opportunity to go home, to shower, to change into less burned clothes. It's going to take time for Frederick to make the call. It's going to take time for the Institute to arrange things. So it's fucking funny that this just happened.
Damn, I knew.
I don't have prescription glasses, so if I put sunglasses on, it would be awful. I would not know anything. That's going on.
I have prescription sunglasses, just they're not anywhere in my
Don't keep
serum.
them. Do you not keep them right next to your streaming setup? Like,
No.
So weird.
That's
Why
odd,
would you
yeah.
not?
That's what we keep
strange.
ours.
Yeah.
For some
I-
reason. Whew.
Oh man, I did look. It cost $4,900 per person to fly commercial from Intercontinental in 1960s. So if you have 20 grand laying around, the 4 of you can go. But aside from that, thank God for Frederick Dejardin.
Wait, so why do the mechanics like own a private plane again?
Oh, it's a work thing.
Oh right, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Frederick explaining this as you go to the hangar, and it's not like a Dassault or whatever. It's not like a normal plane. It's fancy as shit, right? This is like Institute tech. I don't know what like an alien jet engine looks like, but it's obviously
it's at this
not.
point that I've got out my lunchbox specifically to like charm them into not asking too many questions about this entire situation.
Katarina is starting to like do the and you just like put a sandwich in the open jaw. and on board. Well, the Concorde could make this trip in incredible time. It hasn't been invented yet, but the Institute is always ahead of time. So we're talking like a 3-hour journey to bang your way out of Paris and over to New York. Bang referring to the sonic boom. It was an important note that I did not clarify when saying that.
Bang our way to New York. Come on, everyone.
Alrighty then.
Very, very different game.
We are all friends, Aaron. We're all friends.
Right. So I'm
Friends.
boarding the aircraft, rapidly distracting folks from this conversation, and taxiing on to the runway. Trip is short, but we have established the Institute, perhaps not expensing the food, but what does the interior of this plane look like? Because in my head, I'm getting that that retro futurist kind of Jetsons look inside. Is that right, or something else?
I feel like I think it's got to look more normal on the face of it, but I think perhaps there's a where you've got like cabins behind, instead of like a normal cabin, it's just a wall, and perhaps if you were to go beyond that wall, maybe it's a kind of Jetson sort of situation. But yeah. But
So
otherwise,
instead
the cabin is
Or like a little curtain, like the airplane curtains, where like occasionally it like wafts, and you're just like, how does that look? Oh, nothing more. Oh, food.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like, oh yeah, no, that's where the other engine. I don't know. They put the pilot sits.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're driving the plane from the back.
Also, the weird level of deference that the flight crew shows to Frederick, because they're just lackeys in this machine, but Frederick's an actual engineer for the Institute. So, like, I will. Let's build up the fiction a little more. I'll ask Sonya, what is one incredibly novel thing inside this jet that you would not expect, and Frederick isn't going to explain?
It's got like that. Like self-dispensing coffee.
What even is
It's
that?
like you put the
What
mug
does that
under the
mean?
thing. You put the mug under the thing, it dispenses
yeah.
coffee, and you're like,
With the different buttons, right? Because you have like
Yeah.
you decaf and full calf, and then cream and sugars. I know that the milk before tea or tea before milk is a huge thing. Does that also apply to coffee? Okay.
however
So then
you
it's
want to
just-
do it with coffee.
just number of sugars.
The situation is it depends that milk before the tea, or tea. It depends on what you're serving the tea in.
Does it?
Really?
I didn't know this was a thing.
What?
Why would you put the
What?
milk first?
Oh,
yeah, why
so
would
you
it-
only
that's
like you can put the milk first if you've got a teapot and you've already brewed the tea, so you're serving in a teacup.
Oh.
But if you've got a mug, you
But
don't
how do
put
you
the
know-
milk in first.
but what
Ah.
it's like putting milk first in a cereal bowl. Why would you do that? It's just
Well, no,
banana.
because
You need to.
My thought is that
you can.
you put the milk in first if you have the tea brewed, because as you pour it, it will mix itself quite thoroughly and not being stirred. I'm making this up.
But
I don't know.
also,
That's
like,
my
that's
thought.
not- Also, we don't really do that.
Everything's a lie. I gotta just. I'm going to pause this game to go aggressively edit a Wikipedia page I was reading earlier.
How to talk to British people. Help.
I know.
Mention
I,
cheese toasty. Drop it in casually.
I got that. Yeah, have
You
a
got
whole
little
list.
notes
Yep.
to yourself.
You were away, but I called someone a bell end earlier, and Lola gave me the up to nod of it, so I'm getting there. Yes. So we had the coffee, and then it'll ask you with sugars. Is it a reach to say that there's like a small voice with it, right? Like not like a robot voice, but. So then it's like,
yeah, sounds
Yeah.
great.
like, so it's like, then how many sugars the machine says to you, and you're like, what the fuck? And
Sonya,
No.
can you get me a hot chocolate with whipped cream and little marshmallows, thanks.
I stare at the machine, being like, "I'll do that."
I mean, I think it has
I
to, right?
No, I love the idea of Sonya being like, I don't know how to excuse me, Mr. Machine, tap, tap, tap. Can I have a hot chocolate, please? With whipped cream and marshmallows. Thank you. And because that just seems like something Sonya would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the important question is, and I'm gonna pitch this to Fred. The important question is, Fred, does it respond? Does it know, like, if you ask it for something like that, will it actually give Sonya what she wants?
I think that there might be an error on the marshmallows, but you get the hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you might just need to ask one of the the cabin crew for
the cabin be like, "Hi, do you have marshmallows?"
Oh, but we've established that this voice communicated. So when you walk in, like, "Excuse me, miss," and then she turns around and has like a very tiny presentation plate with the marshmallows on it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the
you've asked the machine doesn't have it, but someone else got that message. Yeah,
we've spent way more time on this than I thought we would. But it has been worth every single second. And I always said I like the idea that as Sonya and Katarina discover this, that is how they spend the remainder of the flight, is seeing what this magic liquid creating box can do. But eventually we will have to land in New York and say goodbye to our new favorite character, the Institute Jet.
Well, only briefly, maybe, possibly.
Sure, yeah, that's right. You said we got places to be.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll add that in the fiction where Katarina's like, "No, just one more thing," and then like you can just we will be right back. That's not going anywhere, and just guiding them away from the plane.
Can we expense this stereotypical New York taxi cab to get us to wherever Columbia is? It's not another state. It's not another country. Where are we going?
I think Columbia isn't actually New York.
It's in New York. Okay, good. Because we're in. Okay.
Yeah, the university is in New York. The country is in South America.
Okay,
that's fair.
Can we expense this cab, Fred?
Let's not put too much on it, but sure. Yeah, it's work related.
You'll have to file receipts though, because 1960 we definitely did not have credit card readers or anything like that in the cab.
So, like, as the rest of you all got out the cab, Fred is just like, could you just write
right now.
I love
we got some dollars on the way.
I love that Frederick is so committed to the bureaucracy of it all. Like, everyone else is trying to have an adventure, and Frederick's like, "No, my toolkit. You know the forms I have to fill out to get another toolkit." And then just...
Fred has a notebook that has it's kind of like, Fred in modern day would be the person who keeps everything of their life put inside like an Excel spreadsheet. And so they have this little ringed like notepad with just very, very tiny little lines. And there's two boxes on each side. And they're just like, Fred has meticulously written down everything, every expense, like dates, times. It's very, very precise and exacting.
Understand, I get paid well, but not that well. So of course I have to expense everything.
Sure.
Yeah, and you don't want to leave money on the table, right? Then into the cab. He will be disappointed if your experience with London black cabs, that New York cabs in the 60s were nowhere near as nice or friendly, but they can get you to the university all the same. Sorry, I'm assuming that's where we're going first, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
mean, it's important to see the art, but being able to talk to our contact here is a little bit more so, I think.
Yeah.
Then yes. So Columbia, it purports to be Ivy League. Depending on who you ask, that is true or is not true. But it covers about 6 city blocks in Upper Manhattan. The Columbia is actually older than the United States, and they will not shut the fuck up about it. But it is that kind of school. So, as in the tradition of great American universities, they built it to look like Oxford because that imports prestige. So you've got the Ivy and you've got the stuff. You just don't have the Isaac Newton or the history or, at this point in time, the money. Nevertheless, Professor Stephen Armstrong is... I don't know if you've had the experience of meeting a professor in a very niche field and then asking them about their work. Because we imagine that like the professors are super, super busy. They're always teaching and researching, which is true some of the times, but a lot of the time they're just sitting in their office responding to the 1960s versions of emails and writing more books that will not sell. So when you arrive in the history department of Columbia, you find Professor Armstrong in the office, and you will be coming in between like other students who are just showing up to be like asking about assignments or theses questions or whatever. I will pitch to the 4 of you. What does Professor Armstrong look like? What kind of professor are we talking about here? The one immutable thing is that he's got to have the tweed jacket with the leather arm pads or elbow pads.
Oh, obviously. The one word that I have to describe Professor Armstrong is round. Everything about this man is round. He's like bald. So like top of his head, very smooth, very round. And it's obvious
very nice
that like
beard mustache though.
Big, bushy. Yes, very well kept. It seems like he spends a lot of time on it. Like he's got rounded shoulders, rounded arms. He's got a big round belly. Not quite like to the level of like Santa Claus jovial, but that's kind of in the realm of like where we're going with the roundness generally of Professor Armstrong.
I think you described for me like a bald Jack Black.
Not exactly what I pictured in my head, but sure, why not?
That's what we're all seeing now. So.
Yeah.
Don't, again, like death of the author. That's my vision. But the great thing about role-playing games is that we can all have our own vision in our own nuggets. Well, then, yes. How do we approach the situation? Someone knocking on the door? Do we all pile in together?
Well, I mean, is his door open? Is it office hours right now, or?
Sure.
Okay. Then, since the door's open, just a quick little like rasp on the door frame, and poke our heads in. Professor Armstrong?
No. Yes. Yes, who is it?
To be fair, I think Frederick's bringing up the rear, so I'll leave.
I'm sorry, I was not expecting.
Squinting through his ground glasses.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I was not expecting that. Yes. Well, I was wondering if you had a moment to chat about some of your work. We just had a couple questions for you.
If that accent bothers you, I can choose another one.
No, it's fine. It took me by complete and total surprise. I was not expecting from you. So it took me by surprise. That's all.
Well, that's good, because had you took me on that bargain, I was totally going to go with like twangy cowboy, and it was going to throw you for the loop again.
Yeah.
Yes, no, of course. Excited to meet a fellow scholar. And he's moved like desk shut, and like, and again, that like rabid enthusiasm. Like, so everyone watching has a thing that they are hyper fixated about, that like it is their thing that they are so excited about. And like, imagine in the appropriate context, someone walked up and, for example, was like, hey V, can you tell me the like 10 basic things about 3D modeling? Or like, Shamini, can you describe for me like the basic steps and like tell me what's it like to do documentary work? I realize at this point that I don't want to call out Aubrey, but at the same time, I kind of do. So if I was Aubrey, I'm just now getting into it. Can you explain to me more about like how AO3 fandoms work? And then likewise with fabric-based handicrafts for Lola, the enthusiasm when someone approached you with genuine interest in that subject, that is what is boiling off. Like, if he was having a shitty day before, like, I'm grading papers, it's a bunch of like stuck-up rich kids who have no desire to be historians, but whatever. And then you show up and you're like holding his book that he sold 7 copies of. Just imagine the joy that pours out of this man. I mean, yes, absolutely. Come. And he's getting up, and he's like, there's only 2 chairs in front of the desk. So he goes and finds another one. And then as all of this comes along, he just sits down and then like hands on the table, like, yes. So what can I help you with?
I'm looking at. I feel like Emma does the talking, does the schmoozing, unless Sonya would like to jump in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine with that. I just wanted to give folks a chance if they so chose. But yeah, so as we all take a seat, I kind of start pulling things out, and I'm going to flip around the copy that we have of the one that got away, and just say, we're actually doing a little investigation of our own into this U-boat, and one of my colleagues, because of course, and I hold up my press credentials. One of my colleagues, Pierre, has been kind of following this as well, and I don't know if you spoke to him at all, if he's contacted you, but I thought that coming here, being able to speak to you in person, maybe you could tell us a little bit about why this U-boat is so important and why people would be still looking for it. We have reason to believe that there are some leads that folks have, so I just kind of wanted to pick your brain about this U-boat.
Well, I'm sure if you took the time to read the book, you would know why it's important, because I discuss it a great deal in there. But who did you say? You said you had a friend. It's so interesting that in the last only a few weeks, there have been 3 people now coming into my office fascinated with this topic. I am apparently, it's a great time to be, sorry, he just became an entirely different accent there for a second. It's a very, very great time to be in this business. Well, I will, there's obviously a bit of disappointment. He was hoping to have a different conversation about the text, but he does reiterate it for you that the U-boat was sent on a mission again from Hamburg in the late days of the war, carrying something of immense value to Japan. The Japanese were the ones who revealed the mission because they were communicating under codes that had been broken. And apparently, they were sending their own submarine to meet with the German submarine. The Japanese were sending a huge quantity of gold in exchange for something. And no one knows what that something is. But in that interesting fuzzy space between history and rumor and conspiracy, where they all kind of tug together, he paints a very compelling story that brings the juncture of Nazi occultism and like Hitler's Wunderwaffe, the gigantic bell, Der Glocke. If you Google it, there was supposedly a giant Nazi superboy that was literally just a big ass bell, and something terrible happened when you rang it. Yeah. Anywho, those people he distanced himself from, but that is the bit. Going through the end of that, he does see, yes, Pierre came. He mentions that, who had a great many questions about it, because Mr. Armstrong is working on a revised 2nd edition of the book. He had new information recently about someone who purports to be a survivor, and was including those tales in this new edition. So Pierre had come asking the same questions that you had, and this is the information that he had shared, that no one's ever been able to find it, but my new book, which you can buy coming out soon in the way that people plug their book, includes stories from someone who, was on the boat. And last he knew, Pierre was planning to travel to Sitomayang to interview this survivor.
Wait, so did they swap the gold for the thingy already? So, is the gold on the U-boat, or is the thingy on the U-boat?
No, that's the thing. We don't know what happened, because the Americans managed to track the Japanese sub and confirmed to sink it. But they don't know if it was before or after it accomplished its mission. They haven't been able to find the wreckage of either boat. It is in the Straits of Sitomayang, we know that much. The destroyer that sank it, and based on the travel that we've been able to find, we know the general area, but there's a lot of ocean, the tides and the currents moving up a lot of silt. It's the 60s, so we don't have ocean penetrating mega sonar or whatever. This is an RP gig, so I don't know.
Why are you so interested in the German one as opposed to the Japanese one? Or did they know where they sank that one, so that's less tricky?
Well, they don't know where it sank. They have a general idea. So it's somewhere within like these 10 square miles of ocean based on what was going on positionally.
The Japanese one.
Both of them.
They're both together.
We think so. Based on the date of the rendezvous, we know that the Japanese submarine and the German submarine were supposed to meet within a few days of when the sinking happened. So, and that's the mystery, that we've been able to track down all these other U-boats. We've had all these other things that we've discovered. We never found that one. And of course, the interest is obvious, that something inside of it was valuable enough for the Japanese to part a significant part of the Imperial treasury. And yet, it's never been found.
We could totally like heist that gold.
What's the sorry? Would this guy know what the connection is with the painting?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's above table. I don't know. He's we're gonna say that Professor Armstrong is the kind of person who has 3 things he will talk about: buying the book about Nazi U-boats, and then like, can I have more money to write my next book about Nazi U-boats?
Sure.
Yeah, sticks out.
Do you think? Wait, if this survivor didn't tell you where the U-boat was, do you think Pierre thinks that he could get it out of them, like persuade them to reveal the location?
I mean, Pierre is very persuasive.
Oh, I haven't actually been able to interview the survivor. We've communicated via post, but I am traveling to see Tumayang, staying there the amount of time I would have to get a grant from the university, which is part of what Peter was going to do. I offered him some information to contact him, and on the promise that he would put me in touch and we'd be able to share some information.
We get like a name and address because like we're totally going to go and say hi for normal reasons, not doing a heist.
So getting to this point where we're going to have to make some kind of roll because you're trying to convince him to give up his source. He's already given it to Pierre. There's financial incentive involved. So if you want it for free or to get it out of him, I would love to know which dice you want to use. Well, it's a plural you.
Can I use my charming picnic to aid someone? Charming.
You look like you're hungry. Fancy a sandwich?
Oh, you do have a
He
charming
does
picnic.
look like the kind of man who fancies snacks. That's all.
Well, I think it's more of just like Fred, not so good at charm in general, but like food.
Picnics.
Everyone needs to eat.
Remind me remind me the special mechanic that is related to your lunchbox.
Charming picnic.
So it's essentially I've reskinned it so that it's more of a like it's this kind of separate lunchbox instead of lunch basket and picnic thing, but it's like a very well stocked lunch box with maybe not wine, but like some nice drinks and like a good deal of very tasty sandwiches and some nice fresh snacks and so on.
Yes, right.
And the mechanic is that to get it up, it basically gives +2 pips for
For persuasion or the like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then let's say that Frederick does not have to be the one who makes the roll, but as you are like trying to butter him up figuratively, you begin to butter him up literally by offering various snacks and implements and making a long enough thing of it that like, oh, we're going to be here for a while talking about how much we love people who love Nazi U-boats, and then the cork pops and you start pouring out the like the whatever 1960s LaCroix is.
Would having press credentials here be advantageous? Because we are obviously here with Pierre's copy of the book, and I'm trying to get this information so we can get into contact with this source
with Pierre,
as members of the press.
and he's already agreed to deal with Pierre, so we're with Pierre. I agree.
Sure, that's not a roll in of itself, but
Well, so because that gives me +2 pips as well.
okay.
Can you add
So
them together?
if we did +2 and then
yeah, they stack.
okay, so yeah, I guess I'll try. Can I? So I'll make a charm roll then to try and convince him.
If you'd like to be charming.
Do it.
Sonya is not good at any of this interacting with people part.
I'm not as V, I'm not overly charming. But maybe Emma's
That's a
slightly
lie.
more charming.
Lies.
That's a lie.
So I'll reach over and I'll pour him a little drink and offer him a little snack, and I'll just say, I really want to it would be really, really helpful for us so we can further Pierre's work and get all of this done faster. Unfortunately, he's not gonna he's unable to make the trip to see Tamayang right now, but that's why we are here, because we would like to go on his behalf and find this person for you and conduct this interview, speak to this person, find out what they know, and it would be a really great help if you could point us in the right direction. And none of that is a lie. All of that is true. All of that is true. I suppose I could lie. I'd actually have a better chance at lying. But... Oh my god. No. That's an 87. My dice are not... I'm going to swap dice. No.
It doesn't help. All right. Someone needs to bail Emma out.
Oh no, but something different, right? We can't just do the same thing again.
A stacking charm would be a bit of an oopsies. You can use story points to alter the situation somehow, introduce new information, attempt a different kind of approach.
How many story points would it be to say somebody comes in with a telegram from his contact?
In the piece of the fiction, that would be extraordinary because they are not into contact with each other.
He said he wrote him letters.
A post.
Wrote him letters.
That was not from the contact. I'm sorry. That was from somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Not spoken with the contact directly, but he's sent.
Yes.
He's
To clarify, there is
someone in Sutamang who's passing him information.
There's a heretofore unknown third party who wrote to him saying, I have a contact. I found someone who purports to be a survivor. And then the professor said, I would love to go. I'm stuck here until someone writes me a grant. And then Pierre shows up and he's like, actually, I will do this. And goes.
I was trying to think of what I could do with story points.
Yeah. Could I spend some story points? I kind of want him to get distracted enough that I can start going through his desk.
He's got a letter that maybe has a return address.
Yeah. So maybe someone comes to the door and he's just momentarily just has to say something to them, it's something urgent comes up and he's just distracted. Do you want me to be more specific so you can tell me how many story points that would cost?
I've realized that there is a piece of information that I have not given you that would be valuable.
Probably, yes.
That is that I didn't think it mattered. And then I was like, oh, this is why it matters. This is why they put that in there. The folder that Frederick pulled out was called the Wallhouse file.
Was it? I wondered that because we got information on that earlier.
That was what was written on it.
Oh, that's
Okay.
I hadn't connected that to here, but
that is the angle you can use. And to the extent Katarina or Sonya as Emma is just having the time of her life, throwing a picnic with Frederick and the professor, Wallhouse is the name of the person who identified the source. So
Wallhouse file ? Was written somewhere in Pierre's notes, or was it in the book?
it was in the book, but it was on a bookmark.
It was written in a bookmark in the book.
So Pierre had put those things together, and Pierre had the file from the Wallhouse here. Mr. Wallhouse, Mrs. Wallhouse, Miss Wallhouse, don't know. But that is the connection that you can make if you would like to leverage it.
Yeah, we haven't pulled out those papers here yet, right? We haven't shown Mr. Armstrong anything, right?
Now might be a great time.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, just nerdy research stuff. Did Pierre ever tell you about the Wallhouse file?
Oh, sorry. I knew this question was coming, and I was like, I need to look left because the Wallhouse person has a first name, and I don't know what the fuck it is, and I got to get there before Shamini asks me, and then I didn't. I just watched you talk to me while the fucking counter ticked down. Sorry. His colleague, Richard Wallhouse, wife Nina, Nena, N-E-N-A, a German
Wait, do we know this information?
couple. No, he's giving it to you.
Sorry.
Wallhouse. So he says, "Oh yeah, Richard is another historian, and a bit of an amateur, young in his career, but going along. And as I understand, his wife Nena was actually quite not close. I mean, not that close, not to be salacious." And he elbows Emma, in a "You are a journalist. Do not tell anyone" this kind of way.
Wait, quite close to what?
Oh, quite close to Pierre.
Oh, like Pierre's buddies. Did they research this topic as well?
Oh, well, so they're not necessarily, but they've done work in Sitamayang before, and that's how they stumbled across this gentleman. The name of the person, which you will eventually get to, is Johann Fresner. Fresner.
Johann Fresner is the one who writes the letters.
Johann Fresner is the one who is purported to be a survivor.
Oh, he is the survivor, right?
Richard Wallhouse
is the contact.
Johann Fresner is the other one in the picture, right? Or is that me forgetting?
Wallhouse file. The portrait is yes. One of them is Jürgen Engels. The younger sailor is Johann Fresner.
Everett Janet.
Right. So I did remember that.
You did. Oh,
yeah, that was good.
So good on you. To put it all back together contextually, we know that Pierre was going to go to Sitamayang to find Johann Fresner because Johann Fresner purports to know where the U-boat sank, right? That is the contact that the Wallhouses were the go-between.
And the Wallhouses live in Sitamayang.
They do research there. They're Franco-German. I believe at the time of the story they live in Belgium. But the key information for you is that Johann Fresner, if that is the person who knows where the U-boat is, then that's what they might be trying to get out of Pierre. Yeah. And if your octopus friends find Johann before you do, then they will have a head start.
And I don't suppose you could just give us like Richard and Nena's address so we can go say hi. We'll take some cakes from you or something.
He's more than happy to. I don't know what the address is. It's not written down, but if you need to get in contact with them, you can have it.
Great. There you go. Lovely. Boom.
Of course, I'm sure if we find anything, we'll get Pierre to feed it back to you.
Yeah, Pierre will totally report back. Cannot wait to read the new book. Oh my gosh, revised edition. So exciting. And if we or, Pierre find anything, it's going to make such a good addition to the book. Do you have a publishing deadline or?
No, I mean, have you ever had someone who's writing a book try to explain why their book isn't ready yet?
Is your book done or have you finished or?
Yeah, he makes that face. I don't know, Shamini, if you're familiar with this. I don't know who else would be, but when you ask someone so how's the dissertation going? Yep. And they make a face, that is the face he is making, right?
Have you finished the writing of it or?
I mean, it's very complicated and it's going quite well. I made some progress last night, and he's remembering just putting 7 words on the paper before throwing his head back, and very self-conscious all of a sudden.
Cannot wait.
Dissertation work.
And if we help Pierre, maybe a little name in the acknowledgements or something thanks.
You're working with him?
Yeah, that's
in a manner of speaking.
Saying, right?
I hadn't mentioned you before, was all, and but so is he going to go actually find the U-boat?
We have to help him out. Like he's gotten himself into some difficulty, so like we're filling in some of the gaps that he can't necessarily do all himself now. This is when we're new on this. We've only just like jumped in to help him out because like he's great and we want to help him basically. So that's why, he didn't mention us before. We weren't even doing this before. Which is why we didn't have time to read your book yet. But like, oh my gosh, guess what we're going to go do right now? I'm just like, look at Emma. Right?
When you mention, he'll ask, "Sorry, you go forward, meet him in Sitomayang." I understand. Yes. In that case, and he, I won't say he stands up. It's more like a lumbering, right? If you've seen like the Lord of the Rings, kind of an ant getting into motion kind of vibe about it, and proceeds with an academic stiffness over to one of the wall pieces and pulls out a large rolled blue, I would say probably about 2 feet long tube of paper, and then sets it down in front of Frederick, because we established that your picnic basket is in a mechanic's box or something. It's not actually like a fancy basket, right? So he can smell the engineer on you. Hands this to you. He says, well, then these will be incredibly useful in your search and your time. Please do see these are the delivered to be here when you make this connection.
Blueprints? What?
They're blue, and they're prints.
Okay.
And if you peel it open a little bit, it is actual. It's in German. I don't know. Do you speak German?
No, it does not follow.
All the same, doesn't matter. Then Emma would be able to point out to you that they are Kriegsmarine blueprints. They are the actual blueprints for U-890. Not like the originals, but a facsimile, a copy thereof.
Well, great.
Okay. Fantastic. Yes, this could be incredibly useful. Thank you for
As we
Yes.
leave the hallowed halls of Columbia University, so I know we're here and everything, but do you really want to detour via an art museum, just like look at a big painting, or can we just like go heist the Pierre now? Not the gold, but the gold would be a bonus.
I'm not sure what significance the painting has, but Pierre did seem to place some on it.
We'd have to find like an art expert, I guess. Who wrote that book? So many books. There's so much reading involved. Ugh.
Second one was more like a guide, like of all the art in the museum. So it wasn't a specific piece about that. I was supposed you'd say it was like an edited volume, maybe, where each one has a little bit of it, but it is from the staff of the museum. The Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Suppose we are here, we could stare briefly at a painting and pretend to be cultured, and like maybe we'll notice like there'll be like a little note that says like, hey Hitler, if you're gonna sink your U-boat, just like try and sink it here. We jump in a taxi cab and we head to either the MoMA or the Met. Who knows?
One of those.
Certainly not me.
One of those.
Well, you could spend several days in this museum looking for art. Honest to God, it is one of the best art museums in the world. I think it actually was so at the time, too. All that railroad baron money used to buy things from Europe and put them here. But you are going for a very specific part of the museum. Your trip will be shorter.
I think I've never been to an art museum in like the daytime before. There's so many people here. Is this normal?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
But like art.
Having read the guide or paid, so you have the art book. This particular painting, Brunhilde Rides to Valhalla, was made by the German Romance painter Eberhard in 1880. It was inspired from the debut of Wagner's opera, is it Götterdämmerung? I have no idea. I'm uncultured. A few years prior. So that is the lineage of it. The story goes that this artist watched the performance at an opera house in Hamburg, became overcome with emotion, absolutely sobbing, and then immediately locked himself in his studio for several weeks to paint this painting, which he gave as a gift to the soprano Astrid Vogel, who played the character in the opening, in the first cast. It was a transparent attempt to woo her. She did not accept his advances, but did keep the painting. All of this communicated in the book, but also to you by a guide. Her name tag says Anna. And she is happy to explain these things to you. I would be remiss at this point if I did not explain that the painting is rather typical of the late Romance era, and it so happens that I have someone who went to art school who can explain to you what that means. V, what is cool about the late Romance era?
I mean, the thing about the late Romance era stuff is they focused a lot on landscapes, but not like pretty serene landscapes. They were usually very tumultuous. They were kind of like a mix of like storms and it was a little there was always like a push and pull in Romantic era landscapes. You always had like a weird dichotomy between like the pretty thing and then like the stormy like negative thing. It was a lot of like tension and angst, which I guess is kind of the best way to describe these. But then in like addition to the tension and the angst and all of that, you had a lot of like heroism. There were a lot of paintings about revolution. People were just really kind of getting into like things that were very like personal, very original, very individualized to themselves, with a lot of emotion and a lot of drama and things like that. So what came before the Romance era? Oh geez, the Romance period was from like the late 1700s to the late 1800s. Oh God, would that have been?
I'm just trying to figure out what happens between, because like we have the old masters, and that's essentially just very expensive, sophisticated Jesus fan art.
Well,
and then
I mean that's but like I mean those are like during like the Renaissance and things like that, where you have a lot of focus. I mean, religion was a big focus of art for a very, very long time because that's what would get funded. People would paint,
but at some point that stopped at the end of the Renaissance, and then we've got like a 300-year window before we start painting tumultuous landscapes and individual heroes in revolution.
So a lot of it kind of, believe it or not, a lot of it was brought about like after like Industrial Revolution stuff. You had a lot of like focus on social issues, things like that, urbanization, all of that stuff. Social changes are kind of a big thing for it. So as you kind of get away from like religion is like the only thing that matters, and people kind of start diving into the things that make art worth doing, you get a lot of anger from the people.
A tradition that continues to this day, where it manifests as NFTs.
Oh, how dare you!
Well, we will return to our art museum. So that is the information that you are able to wring out of the exhibit and the guide. If you have further questions or investigations, we will have to do some investigating or some questioning. But Pierre thought this painting was important enough to mention.
Can story mechanic that we haven't used yet, is this the right way to do it? I don't know. Can I spend story points to get a clue?
Aha. In that case, Miss Anna Hallman, her last name, but women didn't get last names when they were working at art museums in the 1960s. It was very much
learning so much about history.
Yeah, not a good time to be a woman in academia in the 1960s. Better than like the 1360s, but still not great. And she'll admit with a bit of embarrassment that this art is even here, because the only reason this painting is famous is because Hitler bought it and declared at the time that this is the Germany I want to build. And that the original painting, which this one is not, she will confess to you, the original painting was in the High National Gallery in Berlin, disappeared in spring of 1945, and it's presumed by most that it was either looted by the Soviets or destroyed by the Germans before it could be looted by the Soviets.
Who's that dead guy on the horse?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I think it has to do with the opera.
Okay. Why is there like a rainbow coming out of that castle? Why is something on fire?
Very early LGBT themes. I actually don't know the answer to any of the questions, actually.
Why is the horse like made of gold?
I'm just gonna like put a hand up and just kind of like put it over Kat's mouth and just be like, okay, all right, cool. No, but what did Hitler ever elaborate on that? Like, what about this is the Germany that he wants to build?
The answer is kind of that generic Nazi stuff, just like the myth of like, look at a strong person who is blonde and
She has like really nice cone boobs. So that's
very
probably
important
part of it.
Mm-hmm.
He probably was into that, I imagine.
But like, you know, Hitler obviously doesn't have very good art taste because like the whole reason he was Hitler and not an artist because he wasn't a good enough artist to get into art school, right? But the mythology on the painting is pretty much around that the thing that makes it special is that it's not special at all, but people were making copies of it all the time because Hitler said it was a great painting. This is a copy. We don't know where the original is, but there are 4 known wartime or pre-war copies that survived. One of these is here in the Met. The 2 are in the hands of anonymous private donors. The 3rd was purchased and is on public display in the gallery of Mr. Budi Darwaman.
Do we know if that? Sorry, I was going to say, do we know if they're all identical? Like, did the
more or
artists, like,
less
take creative liberties?
They're more or less identical, but the person, Mr. Budi, or it might be Budai, I don't know, Darwaman, is not a collector in Sito Mayang.
Uh-huh.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, we were like totally going to go on a trip there. We could like go see another copy of the boring painting and stare at that one instead.
Do you happen to have that the address of this public collection on file that we could have?
I just didn't have it on her. I don't know that she would have available, but if you are rich enough to have a public private art gallery in Sito Mayang, you are probably easy to find.
That's fair.
Like that gallery the Walmart people built in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas.
I did not know that was a thing.
In any case, yes, you would be able to find that person if you so chose.
I'm slightly unsatisfied with having come here and stared at a boring painting, so I would still like to spend some story points to get a clue. If like, unless you're like, don't do that, move on.
So the context of it, I don't think we need to spend story points for it, but the painting is important because it is tied to the Third Reich, right?
Yeah.
And we know that one of them was burned, and then 2 of them are in private collections, and the third happens to appear in Sito Mayang. How did that person get that painting?
Oh, was that a U-boat? No, it'd be really wet if it was on a U-boat.
It doesn't. I mean, so.
Okay, we're gonna go and see if the painting's wet.
No, because the thing about paint, right, is like not all of it's water soluble. Like oil paintings, for example, like. Yeah, you can dry canvas. You can replace a frame. Oh, yeah. Like you can restretch a canvas. Like the I mean, it's probably been restored. Sorry, this is V. this is not Emma. To be clear, this is not Emma. Emma doesn't know fuck all about art. This is V.
This is a side of you I did not know existed.
No, but I mean, the seawater would probably have wreaked havoc on it. But like, yes, you can absolutely like undo like any of the frame stuff. You can lay it flat. You'd probably have to restore parts of it, but yeah, like not all, like paints aren't, like certain paints are water soluble, other paints no. Like that's why you use like certain brush cleaners, certain really harsh chemicals to clean certain brushes and stuff, because just cleaning them with water and soap won't work.
Also, consider that the painting was off the U-boat before it sank because someone managed to accomplish their mission before being destroyed. It's not
That is a
necessarily the
possibility, too.
case that they pulled it out of the shipwreck.
Maybe that's what they were swapping with. They were like, "We'll pay you so much gold for this amazing."
But this
painting."
one painting, sure. Obviously,
Exactly.
that's it.
Yeah.
Mission
It's the painting.
solved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In that case, I think it's time to go to City Mayang.
Yes, and perhaps question this baby.
You have one, not necessarily a Nazi, but definitely Nazi adjacent art collector. And you know what they say about people who are adjacent to Nazis?
Yeah.
They're basically
They're Nazis.
Yeah.
And also a U-boat sailor who said that he was there when it sank. And then also, that Pierre was headed there, had this information that Octopus wanted it. So you have now in your head the things that were worth kidnapping Pierre over, which makes you fairly dangerous. You also know, though, that the MS Adonia is currently sailing the Straits of Sitamayong looking for all of this stuff.
I think they were like looking for coelacanths, actually.
Sorry. Yes, it definitely looking for coelacanths, but given who the lead on this expedition is, I think that they're possibly looking into a bit more than that.
Why? Who's the lead? What?
The Nazi U-boat captain that
Oh,
had sailed U-boats before is the lead on the.
is he? What? Erwin Jaeger? No, Erwin Jaeger's not.
No,
What?
but sorry, no. Jürgen Engels isn't Jürgen Engels on the boat?
Yeah, and like old. Well, I don't know. We don't know if he's dead, but like old.
Okay, my brain is clearly confused. I can't remember anything from the
There's
earlier
so many names, so
session.
many people.
Yeah.
It's like we said,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Nazis in this story. It's hard to keep track of. But
And we still need to punch them all.
There's one thing I will call your attention to about that manifest, since you were bringing it up, is if you are a marine biologist looking for a shipwreck, why do you need a cryptanalyst?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he's like a mathematician, and a statistician, so they're probably just doing some really important research about coelacanths. Right?
Yes.
The geometry
I-
of coelacanths. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, so much geometry.
Yeah, it does seem like
Or-
there's only one marine biologist there in that whole
Mhm.
situation.
Also, there's a
But,
historian. But like,
yes.
coelacanths are very historical.
That is true.
Yeah.
They are actually what's called a fossil species, because for the longest time we only had them in the fossil record.
Yeah, that counts
Ah.
as history, right?
We're going to gaslight ourselves into believing this is honest because Shamini's
Yeah.
provided incredible context for the story.
Yeah,
And I love that.
I'm
exactly.
really
Yes.
excited about the coelacanths, and now I'm like, it was a lie? It's all a lie?
Yes, Shaman.
Okay.
I'm
I think
so
it bears looking into, so perhaps that's
Mhm.
something we also check out when we're in Sitamayang.
We want to get to Sitamayong or Mayang. It's actually it's not a real
Not a
word.
real
so
place.
yes. We'll require you to get back into a taxi cab and then back to the airport. Now,
Get the receipt.
Yes, one of the things that also distinguishes black cabs from New York cabs is in the London black cab, you have to take an exam, right? You got to get the knowledge, they call it, which means that there's a very strict licensing procedure. They have to wear certain uniforms, and then the cabs are no big deal.
Less on the uniforms, but it's more about like knowing everywhere in London. Though I think they have made some changes to that now, but given that like all of the issues with taxi cab hire companies and Uber and various blah 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 not relevant stuff.
No, the extra context in this has been beautiful. But one of the other key differences between American taxi cabs and British taxi cabs is that this American taxi cab has a driver who has a very hot dog necky. And also, as I understand it, the black cabs in London don't travel in packs. For example, if you were to hop into a black cab and be like, take me to the airport, and they said, okay, mate, you would not have another black cab behind you full of taxi drivers following you somewhere. And the other very critical part is that if you were going to get into a taxi and say, take me to the airport, the taxi in London would take you
to the airport.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it will
dear.
probably be a little too late by the time you realize you have turned off the wrong exit. We have some friends who would like to discuss your exploits with you, but we will have to wait and see that turns out because we have arrived at the end of this recording session. This has been episode 2 of the U-Boat Mystery, a scenario for the Troubleshooters, brought to you by Helmgast Games. I do seriously suggest you go give it a shot, and that's not only because they paid me to tell you that. I have been having a lot of fun with this, and I think the rest of you have as well, yeah?
Yes.
Super fun.
The mood is great, the tone is light. There's a lot of games that, like, it's hard to find a game in this era that isn't, like, dark, right? They tend to go more like Jason Bourne spy stuff. There aren't many games that let you have like a good old Rin Tin good time, right? So yes, check it out. You can put scenario in the chat. I'm actually gonna be watching this game, so I can do it right now and foist that upon you. And then while you're looking at that, I will introduce the rest of this gang because they're all great as well. As Emma Beck doesn't read books but loves to talk about them, it's Locke.
Hey. I think Emma does read books, but only books about things that matter to her. U-boats, I don't know. Honestly, thinking back on it, probably should have read the book on the flight over, but that's okay.
I did have time on the flight.
Yeah, we were too preoccupied with the drink machine, is what it was.
Which is totally fine. I think the part that probably was where you made the slip up is when you said out loud to him, "I haven't read the book." But
I don't really know how to ask questions about what's in the book without admitting that I did not, in fact, read the book.
This part where you talked about this.
I
just wanted to make sure that I was correct about this. This really wrong fact. So
the next time I go someplace and have to try and lie about having read a book, I will remember Lola's sage advice. But yes, hello folks. I'm V. You all know me. You can find me on the internet pretty much anywhere. The Blake has a social thing. At V is for vampire, because my name is V, and I like vampires. You can also find me doing pretty much everything here over at Queen's Court Games. I am Queen of the Court. I do lots of art. I do stuff on Patreon for our folks that subscribe over there. They get custom art twice a month. It's pretty rad. It's stuff I don't really post elsewhere because it's just for patrons. That's me. You can also find me playing Ivy LaRue in the multi-award-winning Vampire the Masquerade V5 podcast, the All Night Society, over here on Queen's Court Games. And that comes out every 2 weeks.
Indeed it does. I will tell you, if you really want to fit in with academics, the way that you handle questions is by starting with, this is more of a comment than a question, and then you just keep talking anyway.
Oh, okay, great. Good to know.
That will definitely get you, you'll fit right in. Will, I don't know if they will be adjacent actually in the grand scheme of things, but also incredibly important with a sunk star wanted level, Grand Theft Aubrey as Sonya Volkov, hopping in and out of airports, getting it done. Aubrey, if people want to see you handle stressful situations by racing vehicles, where can they do it? What can they get up to?
I don't know if there's anywhere else I've done that, but you can go check out my Twitter or just find me anywhere on the internet at BackbeatCosplay, and I got all the fun links to all those things. You can also hear me running a Pathfinder 2E campaign every Wednesday. Check out Goblets and Gays. We're getting closer and closer to the end of our very first campaign. It is a wild time, and you can also find me for a little bit longer every Friday over on Hallowed Haven Studios as part of Wayfarer.
Which I have been I watched a little bit of the first episode, and then I was like, I had to pay attention to this. I have a lot of work. There's some things you can put on and keep in the background, but this was one of those like, I'm gonna have to spend some time with this. So I'm gonna let it finish up, and then probably binge it all while neglecting duties that I have for other things. As is the way.
That is the way.
Not been neglecting their duties because they are coming off the back end of an incredibly successful fundraiser. Frederick Dejardin, who has managed twice now to save the day via lunchbox and then also midair catering. It's weird that for being an engineer, most of the things that are happening are culinary, and I think that's a lot about the character, and I enjoy it quite a bit. So Lola, tell us, first of all, you did an amazing thing recently that I would like you to brag about on your own behalf. And then second, if people want to see you doing more of that kind of stuff, where can they accomplish it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's an amazing thing that couldn't have been done without like a load of other people that also was supporting the cause. Crafting Queer Future, we were a bunch of collaborators and contributors to our project. We were raising money and are still raising funds and still working towards a better and brighter future, at most importantly safe future for LGBTQIA plus people across the world. And we have been doing that through our crowdfunder, which we had most of June to like early July, and it was essentially you could enter and win one of many Yarny Crafty prizes, and all the money went towards four places: the Transgender Law Center, the LGBT Foundation, and the Stephen Lewis Foundation, Partners in Pride, which supports a bunch of organizations in sub-Saharan Africa, and then Direct Mutual Aid. So yeah, we're raising money for that. Our collaborators, we are dyeing yarn, designing patterns, and generally advocating for LGBTQIA plus folks and multiply marginalized folks across the world and continuing to do so into the future. So yeah, that's what I do. And if you want to see more yarn related things and craft related things, then come find me at Third Bolt Yarns pretty much anywhere, because that's business and branding stuff. Duh.
Well, we tried that, but then Twitter said your company name is too long. No, incredibly excellent. I think we will throw some. We can throw those links in chat for folks now, so they can see those projects. If any of those charities sounded like excellent causes to you, we will make sure that you can get in touch with them, because I just think it's so damn cool when people find novel ways to support important causes.
Mm-hmm. And remember, you can donate directly to those organizations, or you could just make a little bit of your budget every month and put it towards direct aid and help out your fellow community members.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, if you don't have money, the other thing you can share is knowledge. And there is no one at this table who has taught me more about Jurassic era fish than our last guest, lastly but certainly not leastly, playing Katarina Huppert. It is Shamini Bundell. Now, there are two things you need to know about Shamini Bundell. One is that they are incredible in everything that they do. And two, they have just recently, at time of recording, released a 2-minute highlight reel of who they are. So if you are the kind of person who enjoys actual plays, or the kind of person who enjoys making actual plays, Shamini has provided you an incredible resource of actual plays you should go watch, or one particular person you should put into
Very
your
biased
actual
selection
play.
of actual plays. It's all the ones with me in, guys. They're clearly the best ones. I'm not biased at all.
You know what? I will plant my flag on that. I'm an award-winning actual play maker, so I have some semblance of taste, right? That I stand on.
Aaron, everyone trust Aaron. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I had to get that out of the way because I know that you wouldn't have bragged about it yourself, so I've done that for you.
Nice.
Where can people go find you?
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at sbundell. That's SBUNDELL. And I also stream pretty much weekly with the RP Geeks, where we mix science with various sci-fi campaigns. At the moment, we are doing our Starfinder campaign, and I am actually, I haven't asked you about this, Aaron, but I am actually doing an American accent in that campaign, which is a little bold. It's bold, but I'm not going to ask. So come check that out. It's great. And there's science in it as well. And that you can find on Twitch, YouTube, podcasts, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Threads. At RP Geeks D&D.
I don't know if this is just like a bias, like a nationality bias thing, but I get or maybe it's just that American people are more bold, but I always feel like Europeans doing an American accent, if they're putting effort into it, right? If they're just being like ridiculous, of course not. It always sounds like Europeans are doing a better job of doing American accents than Americans are at doing European accents. And I don't know if that's just like a thought that I have or something, but...
I read a tweet the other day that said that like America's so big that you guys don't necessarily know really well exactly what accents from where and like the really sort of specifics of it, and you wouldn't know someone with every accent, whereas like Britain's small enough and it's so tuned into accents because it's really class focused that like it kind of matters. You're kind of judging people based on their accent, and they're sort of less so it's like more specific. That's what I read.
This is a conversation that's going to go on way too long. If you want to hear the end of this, if you want to hear the end of this conversation, you can follow it to me on Twitter, where I am at Aaron in Words, and I will be happy to report the results. I am also on a real roll recently, making enemies with big podcasts and supporting the union. This is a union household.
Yes.
Else, you can find anything that I am doing at Queen's Court RPG on Twitter, or at Queen's Court Games on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and elsewhere. We've got so many really friggin' cool things coming up immediately after this. We are going to spend the rest of the year highlighting some content that features casts entirely from marginalized communities, telling stories that are unique to their experiences. We have a Southeast Asian inspired mecha soap opera that is coming up real soon.
Space opera.
What did I say?
Soap opera. Very different.
Okay. First of all,
very
not
different.
Very different. But second of all, yes, a space opera.
No one's evil twin is going to turn up and steal their love interest.
You don't know that.
You know what? That's fair. But...
That's fair.
And then also a 1920s game set in the Harlem Renaissance, Call of Cthulhu, featuring an all-black cast. So we are thrilled to have that coming out. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, I implore you go do so now, because you will be able to see that, and it's going to be great. Else, we will continue with our Nazi punching adventure. I know I said it's a Nazi punching adventure. You haven't gotten to punching Nazis yet, but let me tell you, that's about to change real soon. If you want to catch the next episode of Troubleshooters, it'll be the same time next week, but 3 hours ago. Until then, bye for now.